What's up, San Diego?
This is San Diego sports. The wins, the losses, the moments that matter, and the opinions that come with them.
Padres have clinched the playoffs in back-to-back seasons for the first time since 05 and 06.
No hype, no filter. Just the truth about your teams, your city, and the people who care about it most.
The reality is the expectations are higher now for this club than they were in 2019 and 2020 when the Padres hadn't made the playoffs that many times.
He's been here. He knows this city. And now he's leading the conversation every single day. Live and local on 97.3 The Fan.
This is fun. We're doing this for fun. This is fun. Have fun. Enjoy the fun with us having fun.
Now, here's Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego, and a happy Friday. It's everybody out there in America's finest city. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Man, we got a lot to talk about today in the sports world. Obviously, it seems like we don't really have too much to talk about on days following Padres off days, but we got a pitching staff to talk about in this next hour. We have the article that Dennis Lin put out about how the Padres were able to, really kick the narrative of being a small market franchise. We'll talk about that in this hour. We'll give us a look of what's going on in the Major League Baseball world. Power rankings changed by ESPN, really telling an interesting story for both the American League and the National League playoff race. We have craziness in college football. We had something happen this morning. We kind of briefly talked about it yesterday, and we had some news. The 10th Circuit has granted the NCAA stay request in the Wisney versus NCAA, which, again, is a bunch of just mumbo-jumbo. But here's what you need to know. Federal exemption for fifth years is now on hold, which means that any fifth year that got state-level exemption can play and any others cannot. And there's FBS games coming up in 8 days. You can see these guys that were, just playing in the NFL try to get picked up to my college football teams. I saw this last night. Andrew Brandt was tweeting this out. He tweeted this out yesterday. It was pretty crazy. Talking about how some NFL players he goes like this. I heard from NFL scouts that NIL money was wiping out the low rounds of the NFL draft. Low round NFL players make a bonus, but have to make the team for salary. In college, they're not getting cut. Now, some to-be-cut NFL players are looking to go back to NIL. What a time. He then quote tweets that and goes, now hearing a few players going to their NFL teams and asking to be cut now instead of likely being cut in 2 weeks to go play in college again. What a time. What a time this is, Andrew Brandt says in a tweet. You have professional athletes who have left college that are trying to get cut earlier than the final cut day. They're not trying to make an NFL team because they want to go back to college where they can make more money and be a stud player.
I would blacklist those players.
I mean,
honestly.
Are you kidding me? I mean, this is ridiculous. Now, the thing this morning was the NCAA won this round of federal case, making many of the players ineligible again. But the name plaintiffs in other cases may still be eligible. So those 16 players, whoever was part of this lawsuit the first time, is still eligible as of right now in a stay request by the NCAA. The new, anybody that wasn't under that request or whatever like that is not eligible, I guess. I don't know. What a mess. What a mess. I mean, I can't believe we are going through all these court cases to determine eligibility for college athletes and college players. I mean, this is just a joke. I mean, are these guys going to be eligible? I mean, somebody might draft some of these guys for college. Seriously, for fantasy football. You never know. I mean, we got players asking to just be cut so they can go back to college. This is the mess that the NCAA created by going through all the BS that you made athletes do back in the day. I mean, I had this conversation this morning. My friend, she played college volleyball. And in order to play college volleyball, she had to fill out a form that listed every single gift or award that she had won, because the NCAA had a rule, because for beach volleyball, there was a lot of entry fees and then prizes that you would win, as in high school or whatever. She had to list every single prize that she might have won, and it couldn't be more value than like what the entrance fee was. I mean, she could have been ineligible to play college sports because she would win a bathing suit for winning a beach volleyball tournament that was a free entry. Something as dumb as that. That's how dumb the NCAA was in terms of the rewarding of improper benefits, if you will. But now we're in a case where, since they didn't establish any rules, and we talked about this. I tried to warn people for years that you don't know what you're signing up for when it comes to just allowing everything to happen and let colleges pay their athletes like they're pros. It's amazing to me how many reporters are shocked by all this information. Oh, I didn't know it was going to be like this. Come on, man. All these reporters that is shoved down our throats all the time. You got to pay these kids. You got to pay these kids. You got to pay these kids. And now they're all like, oh, I can't believe they're getting paid so much. Oh, I can't believe these guys in the NFL are trying to go back to college. Oh, I didn't know that they were going to take away opportunities from high school kids. Oh, I didn't know they were going to cut this women's sport. Oh, I didn't know they were going to cut all of these scholarships because schools can't afford to do this unless they're one of the top 5 schools in the country. Oh, I'm so shocked. I hate to be the guy that said I told you so, but I'm sitting here laughing at this entire situation of how stupid this is. This is so beyond stupid. It is so stupid that we have kids constantly suing their way to stay in college, where before you had college kids suing their way to get to the NFL. Ain't nobody trying to leave early for the NFL now. Not when they can make a ton of money in college. I don't think they can fix this. I really don't. I don't think the government can fix this. I don't think the NCAA can fix this. The only thing that might fix this is the NFL. And I don't think the NFL really wants to fix this. Now, until the NFL starts losing out on players because of money, they are not going to really worry about what's going on with college athletics. But this is just insanity of what we're dealing with. We're 8 days away from our first college football game. First Division I college football game when North Carolina and TCU kick off in Dublin, Ireland. We are 8 days away from that. And yet we're going to have some guys that are potentially trying to make an NFL team, asking to get cut so they get into the transfer portal and go get paid. I mean, this is ridiculous. And you think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, you're going to get more stuff like this. It's crazy. We're going to talk more about this later on in the show. We're going to talk about a lot of Padres baseball today. We got Brian Yancelson set to join us today. I think in the noon hour, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, at 12:40. He'll give us an update of what's going on in AA San Antonio. We're going to get to a lot of stuff going on with the San Diego Padres. We got some information for you on the Mark Walter investigation, how that actually affects the Los Angeles Dodgers. Josh Stein was on with Ben and Woods on the manager's report, and we got high school football today. We had a high school football game last night at the varsity level. We had a handful of those throughout Southern California. First week of high school football here in the state of California. We will have all of that for you in the 1 o'clock hour, with some previews of some of the games tonight. And there's a lot of good games throughout the county, and we'll get to that at 1 o'clock. We'll get you our NFL training camp update. Man, how about your guys' San Diego LA Chargers, huh? That was belt to ass last night, man. BTA Niners, Scraby's Niners just took it to the Chargers last night. They look incompetent in so many different levels. I know it's preseason. 15 years ago, I would have been upset by that. Now it's just kind of like, oh, well, that's an unfortunate day. That's an unfortunate preseason game, if you will. Watching that game last night. Yeah, bang, bang, Niner gang. Yeah, they were really, really getting after it last night. So we'll talk a lot about, this stuff in throughout the sports world. Just so much to get to today on a Friday show. We got a quick preview of college football. Top 25 power rankings came out from ESPN. We'll give you a preview of some of those. And we got the high school football stuff. We got Padres and Twins coming up later on tonight. Obviously, San Diego FC heads back home to take on the Colorado Rapids. So we're just getting started here on a Friday. Going to be a fun show. We will also keep you updated on the Little League World Series opening round. Iowa currently has a 1-0 lead on Sweetwater Valley, the team representing obviously San Diego and the West Coast. Unfortunately for the San Diego boys, they're down 1-0 in the bottom of the fourth inning. Iowa took a 1-0 lead. Noah Kirk is on the mound for Sweetwater Valley. They just clocked that last pitch that he threw that was ball forward, nowhere near the zone, was equivalent to a 100-mile-an-hour pitch at the major league level. I mean, I don't know how you hit that as some of these teenagers, but we'll see how San Diego does. They were getting no hit to the first couple of innings, so we'll keep you updated on that as well. A lot to get to today, Frank. Lots to talk about. We're going to talk about the pitching staff of the Padres in just a little bit, but how about the college sports information that we got this morning? I mean, it's just going to go back and forth with these court updates, if you will.
No, it is. It's absolutely insane. And like I said, I blacklist those players in the NFL, at least. Oh, you're trying to not play in the NFL to go to college when, the only reason why you play in college is to go and try to play in the NFL. I mean, that's just absurd. Those are guys that I do not want on my team. Those are just money chasers. They don't care about the brotherhood. They don't care about anything other than themselves. And that is kind of the last person that I would ever want to see on my team. It's absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. They're calling themselves out, really, is what it is.
The NCAA just put out a statement, if you will. The 10th Circuit decision to stay the preliminary injunction issued by a Colorado Federal District Court judge in the Wisney permits Division I to return to status quo before the district court intervened. Effective immediately, the age-based eligibility rules will be implemented as the Division I membership intended. Class members who were allowed to compete because of the Wisney injunction are no longer eligible to compete. The association will separately continue to defend other similar class action lawsuits and the state court cases that have been filed by former student athletes seeking additional eligibility, yada, 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 yada. So we are encouraged by the Ohio Court of Appeals decision to stay the first of those injunctions pending our appeal. Institutions will not have violations for any class members who were allowed to compete consistent with the scope of the Wisney injunction prior to the stay being granted, and those former student athletes are no longer eligible under the Wisney injunction. Finally, some common sense, if you will. That's just the fact that we have gotten to this point is utterly ridiculous, though. It's utterly ridiculous that we have got we have gotten to this point. The other thing that's ridiculous is we kind of transition back because we got both Little League World Series games on right now, at least the ones on TV. They're not airing the Mexico game, and they didn't air another game. There's like two games that they decided not to broadcast, which I think is unfair to some of the Little League kids that you didn't get to air some of their games on television. I understand the circumstances. I understand the crews that they have and the money involved, if you will, but they got to be able to get a way to get all these games on television for some of these kids that they want to get to play on TV. So it's unfortunate that some of those games were not on TV. But did they already play? Did Mexico already play their game?
I thought didn't they get the 3:00 game yesterday? Or were those washed out too?
They might have been washed out because they had to like redo a lot of the games. But it sounds like
they won 7-1.
7-1, which is good news. So Tijuana did their job, got the victory, which is great. So with that, I'm pulling up the bracket right now. Of course, so San Diego against the Midwest region, they're down 1-0 right now. They just went to the bottom half of the inning. So they got a little bit of work to do. Yeah, they played at 6 a.m. Pacific time. So they didn't play any of the games yesterday, Frank.
Yeah.
They got washed out. So Mexico got the victory over Australia 7-1. They will play their next game at let's take a look here. They'll play their next game Sunday early in the morning. That's 11 a.m. Pennsylvania time. They will play the winner of Panama and Latin America. As for the United States side, if San Diego can come back, if Sweetwater Valley can come back and win, because they're down 1-0, which is very doable, obviously, they will play the winner of Mid-Atlantic and Metro. If they lose, they are now in win-or-go-home mode, which is going to be very difficult, obviously. They would get dropped down to the a game playing tomorrow night against Southeast, which will be, again, all these games are going to be televised at some point on some ESPN platform. All games broadcast on ESPN platforms, except for the ones that happen at 6 a.m. Apparently, they didn't broadcast those games.
Except for the ones that aren't.
Yeah. Got to put a footnote in there. All right. We got a lot to get to today. We're going to get to your phone calls, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. But we are going to get to probably the biggest talking point with this Padres team, I think, going into this weekend. And again, they have the game lead on Arizona. They trail Philly by 2 games. There's still a lot of action left. And Chris Ello mentioned yesterday, out of their next 34 games or whatever they got left, the Padres, if they want to get to 86 wins, got to go 18-16, which is very, very doable. I think right now you got to start thinking about trying to get a little bit more than 86 wins to make the postseason if you're the San Diego Padres. I think 86 still gets you in the playoffs, Frank, but 18-16 is very doable. I think the Padres can get a little bit more on their side there and really solidify themselves in this spot. We'll see how much of a distraction the Ketel Marte situation is for the Arizona Diamondbacks, but we're getting down to the nitty-gritty here in the playoff chase, and I think you got to try to shoot for a lot more wins than just 86.
Yeah, you are going to have to get a little bit more than that. I think you're going to have to play better than 500 baseball, which is what that would be. So, I mean, this team, from what we've seen recently now, this team is more than capable of doing it. And so far, just looking at the final 42 games, now that you've won and lost both 60 games, you're already 8 games ahead of the pace. You're at 60, you're at 8-0 in the final 42 games. So that is a very, very good run, a good way to start that. And playing over 500 baseball is something that this team has done seemingly with relative ease over the last month or so.
We'll take a look at that. We will also dive into the pitching staff of the Padres and get your phone calls when we return. Just getting started on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. 10:23 on a Friday. It's Friday. Get you an update on this game. It's bottom of the fifth inning. California down 1-0. And Iowa's got there. This is the thing about pitching, right? This is the thing about youth. You got the no hits from the pitcher from Iowa, 14 strikeouts, just absolutely mowing down Sweetwater Valley right now. And he also hit a home run to start the game off. He's single-handedly winning the game. This is what you get in these. This is why you need a double elimination bracket for baseball, because you can run into a number one. I mean, if you think about it, Noah Kirk's only given up one.
He gave up 1 run on 2 hits.
1 run on 2 hits, and the guy just tagged it. You're gonna find out that kid's like 18 or something. Everybody's got a secret at these things. I love the Little League World Series for the drama, but like, you have to understand, there's not one team that made it this far that doesn't have a special rule or something special going on for them to make it that far. This is not like a collective all-star team of 12 Little League kids from like a Little League organization. There's some special rule. Like, I don't think all these dudes for Iowa came from the same Little League. It'd probably be like, you start to learn like, they've been playing travel ball with each other since they were 5. All right, well, there you go.
I had 12.
9, 12. I mean, Luke Ramirez was like that when he was with, we played for the West. Somebody just played highlights of that West team. It was like 2009, I think it was. And I've gotten to know Luke Ramirez over the years because he gotten into media. And so we actually did a couple of high school football podcast episodes. Luke, a great guy, Luke Ramirez. But I remember, like, when you watch him play in the Little League World Series, the guy, I mean, he was like 6'3" when he was 12 years old. Every ball he hit was just an absolute moonshot. Not
according to birth certificate.
All right, foul on you for that. I'm talking my guy.
He draws the foul.
I'm talking my guy Luke Ramirez, who's a great media guy on his own.
I quoted a movie.
I know you did.
I wasn't. Don't be
taking
shots.
Don't be taking shots.
I wasn't taking shots. I was quoting a movie.
Don't be comparing him to movies. Come on now. Yeah, it could be an all-star team of the entire state of Iowa. You never know. All right, so runner on first, nobody out. Bottom of the fifth, Iowa leads 1-0 over Sweetwater Valley. We'll keep you updated on that when we get opportunities to do so. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's get out to Kevin in Chula Vista. Kevin, what's going on?
Well, it's too early on a Friday to get me all irascibated, but you did it, Braden. That's a good thing, I guess. So, we're sharing the same thought patterns on this ridiculous nil and so-called player movement. And, it's about follow the money, isn't it? So these players, they don't get drafted or won't get drafted high enough. They decide, well, I'm going to go back to college because there's a payday waiting for me there, potentially. And this is another case of where this whole facade of the nil has run off the guardrails. There's plenty of blame to go around. I still don't understand why taxpayers are funding institutions for professional sports teams now. That needs to be adjudicated. It needs to be held in court on a lawsuit. That'll put the end to all of this when that happens. Trust me. When colleges get sued and the system gets sued because the taxpayers are not expected to fund professional sports teams, which is now happening. Then you've got, I want to poke the bear here, all you folks that give money away to your favorite university on the nil, you're guilty too, because you're giving away money for a bunch of kids who have no loyalty to you anymore. They can peel out of school after 1 year and leave you high and dry, which happens to a lot of the schools now. You've got this constant turnover. So there's no loyalty to you. You need to think about that before you give your money away. This has now changed the entire landscape of college athletics. And that's why in my own personal choice here, I don't step foot back into Snapdragon Stadium. I think this is just an absolute ridiculous, out of control mess. And everybody that's associated with it should hang their head in shame, because they all wrap their arms around, well, we got to pay the kids. Not this way. Not this way. And you can't turn them into professional semi-pro athletes at the college level and take the taxpayers' money. You can't do that. Somebody call up, if you're a tax attorney, tell me where it says in the tax code that we are now funding professional sports in college. Tell me where that exists.
Kevin brings up a lot of good points, obviously, with the, the reality is that is reality for all the public schools, for sure. And that's going to be just wait till the government gets involved with this stuff, Frank. It's just going to make it even worse. But, he does bring up a good point with the loyalty thing. Like these guys don't, these kids don't have, a lot of these guys do not have loyalty to the program. Obviously, I think it's going to hurt them in the long run where they have nowhere to go afterwards. In terms of being honored at, something. I mean, even guys like Jaden Daniels are already cutting off like LSU and upsetting them about using the number. I mean, eventually, it's going to hurt them in the long run. But I mean, Kevin's not the only guy that's getting turned off by the NIL stuff, because eventually, Frank, what's going to happen is these boosters are going to realize that these guys are taking the money and then they're going to other schools, potentially rival schools for more money. And a lot of the boosters that are just giving away money are going to stop writing the checks, or they're going to get disinterested in the sport. And that's what our warning signs have been, Frank, you and I on this show about you got a good thing going, college athletics, and you're going to kill it for greed. And it's not, and then everybody loses. We talked about how baseball is going down that path right now with a lockout, but you get paid what people are willing to pay you. And if people don't watch your sport because they get tired of it and they don't have that same connection they used to, you're not going to make as much money anymore. And that's eventually going to hurt everybody in the process.
Yeah. And I think a lot of if they start allowing professional players to go back to college after not making it or not wanting to make their professional teams, I think that's going to turn a lot of people off very, very quickly, because then it loses for those who still believe that there's an amateur level thing here for these players, it's going to drop that whole facade. And it's all about money. And for these players that can't make it to the NFL to be able to go back to college, absolutely ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Absolutely. They pulled Noah Kirk from the mound. I think his pitch count got up there. He got a standing ovation from both the Iowa fans as well as the California fans, obviously. And one of the umpires went over and shook Noah's hand because of the day that he had. I mean, he ended up giving up one run today in the Little League World Series, unfortunately in the first at bat of the game, but pretty impressive thing. They now brought in Leo Gonzalez, who is a 12-year-old. It says, fun fact, he wants to take an at bat against Mason Miller.
Doesn't want to see birthday number 13, apparently.
Apparently not. He's also donning number 19. I wonder if he's wearing that for Tony. Who knows? But he's on the hill right now for Sweetwater. They got a runner on first, 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th inning. We'll keep you updated on what's going on in the Little League World Series. Earlier action today, Tijuana already won their game. Sweetwater Valley in a little bit of a battle here. They're dealing with a starting pitcher for Iowa that has been electric. 14 strikeouts, not allowed to hit yet. But again, pitch count is a factor. I think when I was playing, it was 85 pitches. You couldn't go over 85 pitches. And if you 85, you could finish that bat if it went over 85. But then after that, you couldn't pitch for 4 days or something. So I don't know if they've changed any of those rules. Gonzalez just hit a batter. So now runners on first and second with 2 outs on that. A few takeaways. Here's from Pete Thamel about this in ruling today. This was a federal ruling, so there's no longer a blanket ruling on the class of 2022 fourth-year players that have a 5th year. This does not impact the hodgepodge of state rulings on 5th years. So players who'd return to school based on the Colorado ruling will now need local state rulings to be eligible. Time is short on those state rulings, obviously, so they need to move fast on a TRO to stay eligible. The plaintiffs in the WISNY can file a petition for reconsideration of the stay, but that's unlikely. The calendar favors the NCAA here, as this is expected to hold for this season. We'll keep you updated on that as well. That's just kind of ridiculous. Anyway, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We're talking about the Padres when we come back. A deeper look into the pitching staff that gets very interesting here in the final 34 or something games left of the season. All right, we got a Little League World Series update for you. As that one's in there for a strike. Iowa leads at 1-0 over California. It's the last inning. It's the 6th inning. They're going against their stud pitcher. Iowa's got a stud pitcher on the mound. He's now up to 81 pitches as the leadoff man walked and ran the pitch count up, which was fantastic. In Little League, you're only a max of 85 pitches for a game. He's at 82, the Iowa pitcher. The tying run's on first with nobody out here in the 6th. He's at 82 pitches. He could finish the at-bat. So right now for California, they got to try to seize a couple more pitches here as it's an 0-2 count for the batter. I was talking to Frank. I mean, the strategy in Little League is huge when it comes to pitch count because, it's not like, oh, he's close to this mark, let's take him out like in the pros. It's he's got to come out after 85 pitches. So right now the batter for Sweetwater's got to try to grind out a little bit more, and he swings and misses at a pitch up in the zone. So this will now be the final batter for Cooper Thisson, who has 15 strikeouts now on the afternoon and is driven in the only run for Iowa on a solo home run early in the game in the first inning. California's got the leadoff man on a full count walk, which was huge for Sweetwater Valley, but the tying run's on first with one out. This will be the last batter for Thisson now as that ball gets away, and now the runner is in scoring position for Sweetwater Valley. This is getting pretty close right here in at Lamade Stadium in Williamsport, Frank.
Yeah, this has been very, very interesting to see how this kid gets out of it. Now the double play is out of it, so he can't end the game here anymore. But you talked about it, and even still, you make the kid throw 7-8 pitches in the first at bat, and then just strike one, strike two, strike three, and now is 3-0 on the next hitter.
Yeah, I mean, again, he's at 86 pitches now, so this will be his last batter. He's already thrown 12 pitches this inning, which is good. So we'll see. I mean, because here's the thing with a team like Iowa, they probably made it this far because of this kid on the mound who has just been electric. But there's no say that they got another guy ready to go right behind him. And the other thing with Iowa is, they probably didn't have to go through nearly the grind that California did, and so they probably don't have the pitchers that California does.
There's simultaneous no hitters going as
Curacao almost gave up a hit right there to Japan.
Yeah,
Curacao is no hitting Japan in the 5th. And that's not a strike, Blue. And Iowa's no hitting California right now in the 6th. It's now a 3-2 count in the top of the 6th with one out in this game. Those are two strikes that are not strikes. I'm sorry, but these umpires are volunteers. They're trying the best they can. And he fouls it off. Wow, staying in it. All right. Speaking of pitching. Let's talk about the Padres pitching. Again, we'll keep you updated on what's going on in the Little League World Series. As Sweetwater Valley is down on their final 2 outs, down 1, tying runs on second base, though. Kevin Acee did a deep dive into the pitching staff for the San Diego Padres. And he starts with talking about the 2024 team. That one leaked away. It's ball 4, and the runner advances to third. So now you got a situation in which Sweetwater Valley's got the tying run 60 feet away and the go-ahead run at first base.
They just took the Curacao kid out too. Their pitchers, 67 pitches.
That's interesting. Well, that gives him so here's the pitch count rules.
It was 65 is the 3-day limit.
Right. And you could finish the at bat, so that counts as the 65. So he gets 3 calendar days of rest. They probably wanted him available relatively soon. So with that'll do it for Thyssen for Iowa. So they're going to go to the whoever's next up, ready to pitch. He's got runners on the corners with 1 out in this game. Sweetwater Valley trying to tie it, potentially take the lead in the 6th. They've already moved on from Noah Kirk, who pitched a phenomenal game for Sweetwater Valley. He got up there in pitch count as well. He only gave up the 1 blemish to Thyssen, the starting pitcher for the Midwest, and he took it deep to give him a 1-0 lead. All right, so they went to break. We can be not as distracted. So talking about this pitching staff for the Padres, Kevin Acee talked about the breakdown of what AJ Preller did at the deadline, and he compared this team to the 2024 team where the Padres loaded up on arms. They got Tanner Scott and Jason Adam and Brian Hoeing, but the problem was in 2024 the offense disappeared at the worst possible time. So it gave them the inclination that pitching can't just put you in a position to win. Pitching can put you in a position to win a championship, but the offense has to finish the job. This year's problem was obviously a little bit more serious because of the rotation was in shambles, and the Padres added Casey Mize and they added Robbie Ray to a rotation with Michael King and Walker Buehler. Plus you get Joe Musgrove coming, and that's good news for the Padres because now you're getting a lot more consistent quality starts. 6 innings has now almost become the expectation for this Padres team, which saves the bullpen, and it also gives your offense a good opportunity to win games. I mean, the recent numbers show the change of just bringing in Casey Mize and Robbie Ray, 4 consecutive quality starts, something that hadn't been done since May of 2025. Quality starts in 6 of the last 8 games, their first stretch since July of 2024, and 7 quality starts in 9 games during that stretch. And the new additions are already contributing. Second Padres start for Casey Mize, 6 innings, 2 runs. Walker Buehler the following game, 6 innings, 1 run. Michael King against Cleveland, 6 innings, 4 runs, 3 earned. Casey Mize on Sunday, 6 scoreless innings. Walker Buehler in New York, 6 innings, 2 runs. Robbie Ray in New York, 6 innings, 1 run. Michael King, 6 2/3 innings, 2 runs. That is now a more consistent starting rotation. And the bullpen before that was quietly being pushed towards the breaking point, and the Padres with bullpen was doing an incredible job. But, Adrian Morejon on pace to destroy his career high in innings. Wandy Peralta, same trajectory. And Wandy Peralta is a longtime vet in Major League Baseball. Yuki Matsui approaching his career high. Bradley Rodriguez had already needed a 2-week break because of workload. And that was like an 11-man bullpen and a 2-man rotation where they used bullpen games 7 times in 10 games. And somehow this team went 8-2. It worked. But there's something that they learned that was valuable with this team. The Padres got a lot of information about their pitchers. Now 3-1 is the count in the Little League World Series game. If you think about the pitching chaos, Frank, the Padres got a lot of information about their pitchers. They discovered which pitchers can handle multiple innings, which hitters certain pitchers match up well against, which left-handers can be deployed in specific situations, who they can trust when games get tight. They got to do that on a 10-game stretch, Frank, and now they know a lot about what's going on for the playoffs, which this is even better, I think, for the Padres as we get closer to October.
Yeah, it's always good to know what your pitcher's limits are, and the fact that they've done what they have done over these last couple of days after getting a little bit extra rest, as you mentioned. I mean, that is huge, and it's great for the final stages of this season. Being able to play with that extra rest, and now you're seeing the fruits of that labor is that rest. That is absolutely huge.
Sweetwater Valley's got the bases loaded in the top of the 6th with 1 out. And it will be Christian Ruiz up at the plate for Sweetwater Valley. He is the 10th batter in the order, and a base hit which could essentially take the lead, at least tie the game, and he's ahead of the count 2-1. on the update. So pressure moments here in the Little League World Series. 1-0 lead for Iowa, top of the 6th. Sweetwater Valley down to their final 2 outs. We'll see what happens in that one. But now, like, the important thing as we go back to the Padres pitching, as Ruiz fouls it off, it's now 2-2.
You're disseminating.
Not yet.
You always do it to me.
I know, but that's not disseminating because I haven't gone 100% all in on that. Now, here's a couple of things. You can have Casey Mize start a game, and then you can go matchup, Mason Miller. Or you have Robbie Ray, lefty matchup, righty matchup, closer if the situation calls for it. I think situationally, you're definitely set up a lot more to have a lot of damage with the pitching staff. And this really changes the outlook of this pitching staff for the Padres, and more importantly, what their ceiling could potentially be.
Yes. And for still haven't officially announced the starting pitcher for tonight. I believe they're going with Randy Vasquez. Is going to get at least the bulk work. But from what I've seen, it looks like they have not announced. Let me see. I checked right at the beginning of the show to see if they have updated that. No, they still have not announced a starting pitcher for tonight. So they're still trying to work on getting guys as much rest as they possibly can.
They believe that the 4 lefties are a huge postseason weapon too.
Yes.
Because we kept talking about, like, well, you have all these lefties. What do you need all these lefties for? But if you start looking at National League lineups, Frank, that you might potentially see in October, they're very lefty heavy. And the Padres have 4 lefties that they believe in. And Ruben Niebla pointed out that the Padres 4 left-handers give Craig Stammen a ton of flexibility.
Yeah, when you got 8 guys in that bullpen, to be able to split them half and half the way that you can, that is absolutely huge. You can match up. You don't have to worry about saving a potentially going through a row of lefties, a channel of lefties, and then in, say, the 7th inning when your starting pitcher needs to come out, and then figuring, do I really have to use Morahone here because we're going to see this same row again later? You could just go right after him. So it does open plenty of doors for how you can play these games.
3-2 pitch, 2 outs, bases loaded, gets fouled off. The drama. Sweetwater Valley is down to their final strike. They got the tying run at third base, the go-ahead run at second, down 1-0 in the top of the 6th. This is the 7th pitch of the at-bat. I mean, what a big moment for you. This is like what you dream about as a kid, right?
Yep.
I mean, this is like the situation in the backyard, but now you're doing it at the Little League World Series.
I've hit plenty of grand slams in this spot in the backyard.
Yeah, of course. That's outside. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, it's terrible. That was like a foot outside the plate, man.
Yeah, that was not good.
That entire at-bat, the home plate umpire kept rewarding the Iowa kid after being the most wild pitcher we have seen today. I mean, that was like a foot outside.
Yeah, that wasn't even
close.
close.
My God, that's terrible. They got to take the bat off your shoulder, kid.
That's the umpire not wanting to ruin the game for the Iowa kid.
Yeah,
that's what that was.
You gotta separate yourself, man, from the situation and call the balls and strikes. I mean, that is so far outside.
Yeah, that's not even close.
That's not even close. That would have tied the game. He knows it.
That's on the paint of the batter's box.
Yeah, that's a moment for the umpire to be like, no hitter intact. So California gets no hit. They lose 1-0.
And the kid for Iowa didn't even try to frame it either. Didn't try to bring it back. He just kept it there. That was way outside.
Right. That's a big upset for Iowa. Obviously, the Thyssen kid is the one that got the damage done. I mean, that wasn't even close, man.
No.
That's terrible. What a disgrace of a call. I mean, I know you got to protect in that situation, but still, I mean, that was like the guy needed a step ladder to hit that. That was way off the plate. But this is the Little League World Series. These guys aren't getting paid. These umpires, they're volunteers. I mean, it is what it is. So Sweetwater loses their first game. They're going to have to battle back now through the losers bracket.
They play Alabama on Saturday night.
They do. They play Alabama on Saturday night. So we'll see how that goes over the weekend. Hopefully, we're talking about them still alive come Monday. But I thought what did they get? They got 2 2 strikeouts that inning or 3? There was 3 strikeouts that inning.
Thiessen struck out 1.
That at bat too. He was getting wild, and the umpire bailed him out on 2 pitches that were completely out of the zone. I think they struck out the side, and all 3 strikeouts started with high ball counts that they got. The 3-0 pitch had to be like somewhere close. But that's crazy. That was bad.
That was
they
not
need
good.
They need to be better. But that's Little League. That's Little League. Welcome to it. We're going to continue this conversation about the pitching staff because the 4 lefties are a huge postseason weapon, but the rotation helps the offense. Musgrove is a luxury to this team, and I think there's a couple of different championship caliber conversations to talk about when we come back with this Padres pitching staff. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, setting us up on Sports Station 97.3 The Fan. Broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios, we know how. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. We're going to get into some other baseball topics here in a second, but I do want to talk about the pitching staff for this Padres team because it's very important. Now, before I even get into that, I got to ask, I understand. I already know what Frank's going to say. I almost know your exact answer word for word. This justifies paying this person. This is literally what Frank's going to say to this. I got an update on my phone, a notification about the latest bracketology from Joe Lenardi.
Oh, boy.
I know he does it over the summer, but how is he changing it week by week or every couple of weeks in college basketball from how practices are going? How does he predict what's going to happen? I mean, what
did you say?
Who's watching? Who's reading this guy? You know what, man? San Diego State's not in this.
What did you say my answer was going to be?
It justifies paying this guy.
Bingo.
For the year. I guess you got to keep the bracketologists entertained during the offseason. Speaking of, according to Joe Lenardi's latest bracketology, we don't even know the roster fully yet for San Diego State. San Diego State's not making the tournament. Also, he's got the Pac-12 as a one-bid league right now with just Gonzaga making it.
It's such disrespect for the Power Act 12.
Come on, man. By the way, do you know since the end of the college basketball season, Joe Lenardi, if you had to guess how many bracketologies Joe Lenardi has put out, again, nothing has really changed. He has to do at least one, right? How many bracketologies do you think Joe Lenardi has put out since the end of the college basketball season?
This is number 10.
That's way too much. Come on. 10. That's ridiculous.
9.
Oh, God. Foul.
Well, no, it sounded... Oh, not that one. That's the one.
He draws the foul.
It sounded sarcastic the way you said it sounded too much.
This is the fourth.
Oh, God.
The fourth bracketology that has come out. They had Gonzaga he had him as a 3 seed, and then they dropped him down to a 4 seed over the process of a couple of months. That doesn't really mean anything. He had Arizona as a 2 seed. They're now up to a 1 seed. It's why? I guess so we could talk about this. I mean, come on. One bid league, Pac-12, maybe, possibly. I don't think so. All right, let's talk about a couple of different things when it comes to this pitching staff for the Padres. So we mentioned that the Padres, in their desperation time of pitching chaos, used it to get victories. They went 8-2 over a 10-game stretch, but they actually learned something valuable from the chaos, and that is relievers that can handle multiple innings, pitching matchups, which left-handers can be deployed in specific situations, which you have 4 of them coming out of the bullpen. What's always a big question when it comes to pitching staffs, Frank, when you get to October? Who can come out of the bullpen now? Because you're not going to use all the starters anymore. You're only going to use maybe 3 starters, possibly 4 max. You usually have to have a couple of guys move to the bullpen. And in doing so, I think the Padres kind of learned what they could do playoff-wise during this pitching chaos. And I think that's very valuable on top of the fact that they won 8 games during this 10-game stretch of using pitching chaos.
Yeah, that, and also it shows who you can trust, who you really can trust in 1, a big spot, or 2, in multiple innings, instead of going out there and throwing Morejon and saying, maybe we could get 2 out of this, or maybe he could do this in this spot, or throwing Wandy Peralta and doing the same thing. You've already figured that out. You've already figured out who you can put in a certain spot and who you can trust in those moments. So it's the Padres have found themselves in a rather advantageous situation as far as knowing what they can get out of everyone that they have in a way that not everyone else would know yet.
The big portion of this article that was, written in the Union Tribune by Kevin Acey was about the pitching staff, what the Padres did at the deadline, why it compares to 2024, and why it's different. Why it compares to 2024 is like the Padres loaded up on pitching, but in 2024, as we mentioned in the last segment, as we were distracted by the Little League World Series, he mentioned that just because you assemble a great pitching staff does not guarantee you're going to win in the postseason because the offense still needs to finish the job. And when you load it up on bullpen arms, obviously the starters are a big portion. What went wrong for the Padres in 2022? Starting rotation. What went wrong for the Padres in 2024? Probably a little bit of the starting rotation, right? Like Dylan Cease wasn't very good in 2024. They tried their best to make it through. They lost Joe Musgrove in 2024 in the playoffs as well. But the offense was in a bad spot. Now, here in 2026, they didn't improve the bullpen. They improved the starting rotation. And it actually helps the offense finish the job because the Padres at the beginning part of the year were under enormous pressure earlier in the season because of the pitching staff. We also agreed that the pitching staff was under pressure because the offense couldn't get anything going. It was kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Kind of attitude. But when a offense has to like overcome 4, 5, 6 runs just to have a chance, that it's a very difficult way to play baseball, especially when they're constantly falling behind early. We heard Xander Bogaerts talk about that in 2023 of like, oh, we got down. It was like the game was over. It was all she wrote. But now you got Casey Mize giving you 6 innings, 2 runs. Now you got Robbie Ray, 6 innings, 1 run. Now you have Walker Buehler, 5 or 6 innings, 2 runs. The offense doesn't need to score 6 now. They just need to score 3. And that's a lot different psychologically for this offense. You get better starting pitching, and therefore, indirectly, it helps improve the offense because the hitters aren't constantly playing from behind. But also, they know they don't need a ton in the first couple of innings. They're only chasing a couple of runs, and we have seen this team time and time again from the 7th inning on be able to overcome those small margins, and that, I think, is going to help this offense if and when they get to October.
Yeah, and as far as like the relief on the bullpen and what the relief on the lineup and what you're getting from Casey Mize here recently, this rotation has really fallen into Casey Mize's hands. Had 2 from unfamiliar opponents to start off his run, and now he gets to face Cleveland and now Minnesota. So he gets 2 very familiar opponents to kind of settle in and really be able to help either Fermin or Campusano kind of gauge him and how he likes to work facing familiar opponents. And he knows better than Fermin or Campusano how to attack these guys. So it gives them a kind of a way as a catcher. It helps you figure out, okay, that he's familiar with these guys. He knows what to do here. This is also helping me get insight into how he likes to work through at bats and call games. So this has been really, really helpful for Casey Mize. And once he gets out of playing these familiar opponents, I think it'll be a real boost for him and for the catcher's comfort once he starts playing NL opponents on a regular basis.
Now talking about Joe Musgrove. I think we were all in agreement before the trade deadline that if the Padres were going to make the playoffs, they were going to need some type of production out of Joe Musgrove or Nick Pivetta, right? Mm-hmm. Wasn't that the narrative? That was kind of the biggest storyline, going into the trade deadline. It was, when is Joe Musgrove coming back? The Padres need him. They need to get him in the rotation. They're not going to be able to survive without him in the rotation. And now they don't need to rush him. I still think they're going to need him. For sure, but it doesn't seem as dire now for the Padres to have him in the rotation as soon as possible. Which, by the way, today is August 21st, which means tomorrow. What is it, tomorrow?
Well, today is the last day, but
right.
Yeah, tomorrow to be official. It's also my mom's birthday. Happy
birthday to Frank's mom. Happy birthday. So, Joe Musgrove doesn't need to come back and immediately be a massive impact. They also don't need to rush him back. He threw 70 pitches, 4 2/3 innings in his 3rd rehab start. His next rehab outing is scheduled for this weekend. Padres may have him make another rehab start after that, and they're specifically prioritizing getting him back to being Joe Musgrove now, instead of just being a somewhat version of Joe Musgrove. Like, I think right now the Padres can treat this way differently than what they probably thought they would have to treat this a couple of weeks ago, where it's like, hey, maybe we could get Joe Musgrove back. He could give us 3 or 4 innings. He can open a game. We'll piggyback from that as he tries to build up for the remaining stretch of the year. And then if we make it to October, maybe we use him out of the bullpen. But with the way that Mize and Ray have made this rotation even better to the guys that are already in the rotation, and they're giving you 6 innings, and it almost seems like it's expected now to get a quality start out of these guys. Now you could try to wait to get Joe Musgrove back to the best form of himself you possibly can, and that's a luxury for this Padres team, and I think that's huge for this team moving forward. I think it's a huge development, and now you can make sure Joe takes his time, he gets healthy, and then they can deploy. Now all of a sudden, I will buy into the narrative of adding him to this rotation as like an additional pickup at the trade deadline.
Yes, 100%. And for Musgrove to come back now, this is also best case scenario for him, because as I mentioned earlier this week, you get to really build him up. You get to really get him back into a normal rhythm. It's not like he's trying to come back from Tommy John surgery and he's in a position where he can take his time. You're in a playoff race right now. You are in a hunt to try to get the wild card. So you have to be as on top of your game as you can possibly be, having not pitched since October of 2024. The alleviation of pressure from Joe Musgrove that was brought on by the trades for Robbie Ray and Casey Mize, that has given him the best chance to succeed and pitch his best for having not pitched in Major League Baseball for the last 2 years.
Obviously, a big question now becomes what happens when Musgrove returns, and he's got to make it through, at least one more rehab assignment, of course. But if Musgrove returns healthy, now your rotation for the final month of the year: Michael King, Walker Buehler, Robbie Ray, Casey Mize, Joe Musgrove, those 5 guys in some particular order. And then the bullpen can return to its intended role of just, pitching the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. And that's huge news. I mean, we talked about how you got to rest up some of these guys in the back end of the bullpen a little bit because they're all approaching career high in innings pitched. If you're getting 6 innings out of these guys almost every night, and it seems almost expected, you could save your bullpen naturally. Mm-hmm. And now they're not pitching every single night. Now they're probably a little bit more fresh for October. It's a way different team. It's a completely different team than the one we saw for much of the season. Obviously a big question is who gets left out if all 5 are healthy, who's going to get pushed to the bullpen, who's currently in the bullpen that's going to have to leave due to Joe Musgrove being here. I mean, I think those are all interesting questions, but they're all good problems to have for this pitching staff that is getting better with Joe Musgrove being back in it, and will get better when Jason Adam comes back at the end, middle to end of September for a playoff push. I mean, this is a way different rotation, and now it's a rotation that is capable of carrying an October series because of the fact that your bullpen is so good. If you look at those, those names, right? Mize, Ray, Buehler, and King, that's not a rotation you go into in the postseason man, I'm terrified of this rotation. But that's a rotation that's good enough, and throw Musgrove in there, that with the bullpen you have, they can keep it close where the bullpen's not going to give up any runs when they take over. And if the Padres offense score 2 or 3 runs, that's almost like game over. That's a different outlook for this team come October than what we were talking about a couple of months ago. They're
good enough to be really, really annoying in the playoffs, and that's what you need. You need a starting rotation that can be annoying as annoying as possible. keep the game close, keep you in the fight, potentially go out there and throw a gem, which you would not have gotten from a Griffin Canning or a Matt Waldron if you tasked them to throw a postseason game. You could definitely get a nice 6, potentially 7-inning gem out of Robbie Ray or out of Casey Mize, and that shortens up the bullpen quite a lot to where you can use your guys as you need them. But that is what you need in a starting rotation in the postseason, is a bunch of pests to get to your heavy lifting arms in the bullpen.
I mean, you got a rotation that, Michael King's going to give you some length. Walker Buehler has some postseason experience, and I'm not necessarily sure that you're going to see Walker Buehler in a playoff start. Maybe you pair him with Joe Musgrove on a day. Robbie Ray has stuff to dominate. I know he has walk issues, but we have seen him be very, very difficult to deal with for a lot of teams, including the Padres. Casey Mize is showing that he could provide, obviously, 6 innings. And Joe Musgrove is healthy, gives you another veteran capable of pitching at a high level. And then after that, you got Morahone and you got Miller, and you're going to have Adam. And your lower level pitchers are guys like Bragley Rodriguez, who has been exceptional. And that's not even talking about, hopefully they could get Jeremiah Estrada right. And then you have, the lefties and Kyle Hart, and you have Wani Peralta and Yuki Matsui mixed in there. I mean, what are they going to do with Randy Vasquez in the bullpen? I mean, you could still, throw David Morgan back there if you wanted to for a playoff series. I mean, there's a lot of high velo arms. There's a lot of good quality arms in that bullpen that you can use at any point in time. And this is a pitching staff that's good enough to make it through October. But now the big question is, does the offense make this team a legitimate World Series threat? And that I still think is a big question. And that is something that I think we're going to find out in the next month.
I'm not sure if you saw this, but Sam had posted something during the Padre Mets series. This was from Wednesday. SNY put up a graphic saying that the Padres bullpen has thrown 538 pitches over 100 miles an hour, which is the second most in Major League Baseball, just 18 behind the Dodgers. That is the type of firepower that you have coming out of this bullpen. It's high heat, high velocity, and guys who can really control that and make it a nightmare for hitters coming up, for the hitters that they have to face.
Those are the bullpens that have usually been the best in October as of late. I mean, when you got to go out there and see a different guy every time, and he's pumping a hundo, it's hard to deal with. I mean, that is what has gotten the Dodgers to the World Series the last 2 years, has it not? I mean, their bullpen has been like the 2024. They were doing bullpen games all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they still had some firepower in the bullpen, but they got a little bit more of their starting rotation than they had in 2024. But they had the firepower. If you got guys that could throw high velo in the postseason, and they're even geared up even more because of the fact that they got the adrenaline going of October baseball, that's a bullpen that's nasty and hard to deal with, and one that can definitely win. But it's going to come down to the offense. We'll find out about the offense in just a little bit over the next month or so. When we come back, we'll get you to the manager's report. We have an update on Joe Musgrove from Assistant General Manager Josh Stein, who joined the morning show. We'll hear what he had to say when we come back. 11:24 on a Friday. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show. Standing Number Sports Station 97 to the Fan. All right. Here's what we got. You ready for this? I got something for you
Go
today.
for it.
It's high school football related. We're going to get to high school football a little bit later. But today, we got a rivalry game in Penasquitos.
Mm-hmm.
We got Westview taking on Mount Carmel.
Okay.
Can't tell you which place they're at. Oh, it's at Mount Carmel today. Okay. I saw this from their head coach Drew Wessling on Facebook. This is the rivalries are the best. So, Drew Wessling, former San Diego State Aztec quarterback, longtime high school football coach here in town. Mount Carmel High School got an email. Good morning, Sun Devils. It looks like the AC is out across campus at this time. A trouble call is already in with the district, and they are sending crews to address the issue as we speak. Thank you, and I will keep you updated as we hear more. Best, Garrett. That is an email out to everybody. So you know what Drew Wessling does? He posts that email.
Oh, no.
And then he posts an AI video, an AI picture, and the quote says, "I knew it!" And he tags Westview High School football in it. And he's got a picture of head coach Mitch Donnelly cutting the wires of the air conditioning units at Mount Carmel High School. That is great.
That's fantastic.
I love that, Drew. That is hilarious. And anybody that knows Drew Wessling, that is the type he does a lot of communication with his team, his parents of the team, the players on Facebook, and that is just a hilarious post for today. I hope somebody that knows Drew or Mount Carmel or knows Mitch Donnelly at the school is tell them about this, about us talking about this today. I think that is hilarious.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
That is great.
Forgot my ring this morning.
Looks like Olympians taking the L today.
Yeah, I know they're. I know they're playing someone difficult. I don't remember.
If Olympian loses, anybody that's at Olympian High School,
they're playing University City today.
That's probably an L. But it's your fault because you didn't wear your class ring.
Yep, I forgot. I can't believe because I thought about it during the show yesterday, and I forgot. I just realized it now. They're at home against University City too.
Wow, how about that? Yeah, so you got a rivalry game. I'm sure there's something that I'm sure there's whatever it's called. I'm sure there's a name for the Mount Carmel Westview rivalry. I think it was a Rotary something.
I will say this: going to East Lake in back-to-back years, I know it's right down the street, but still, that's a little ridiculous.
What?
Olympian going to East Lake in back-to-back seasons.
Sometimes it's like league scheduling.
Yeah, that's a little rude.
Let's see if there's a rivalry name for the Mount Carmel Westview game. I don't think there is. Who knows? Battle of the 56, maybe? That makes sense. If that's like the case, they're right off of that. But that was hilarious. They're going to they have to go there twice in a row. Is that what you said? Olympian?
Well, no, Olympian went to East Lake last year, and now they're there again at the end of this year. I mean, back-to-back years. Not back-to-back weeks.
Okay, so they're in the same league as East Lake this year, so that changes things. Last year, they were in a non-league game, and so that's why it was on the road. And so this year, everything gets sorted out.
Gotcha.
There's been a couple of years like that. Like we've played at Point Loma like 2 or 3 times in a row. We are playing at Helix 2 years in a row, but that was because we got 2 home games in a row in that series because of there was something that went on with the Catholic. There was like a priest or something like there, some famous priest that came to Cathedral that week, and they wanted it to be a home game, and so we called Helix and asked to see if we could make it a home game.
Yeah, so that's understandable.
And then we gave them 2. They get 2 home games in a row. There's sometimes that's involved as well. Okay, we were talking about the Padres. obviously, and their pitching staff. And we have gotten some updates from Josh Stein, who was on with Ben and Woods as part of the manager's reports. He is the assistant general manager of the San Diego Padres. And a couple of clips that we wanted to play for you from the manager's report, which is brought to you by SDCCU. It's not big bank banking. It's better. And the two I want to talk about are, the first clip and then the last clip. We'll go with the first clip of Josh Stein, and that's talking about how the team has completely changed their course in the last 2 months.
Yeah, I mean, certainly no victory laps. We got a long way to go in the season, and I think that's one of the elements of baseball that does make it so interesting is, it is such a long season. I think that point is made, by a number of people and in a number of different ways, but certainly as it relates to, player performance, it does ebb and flow. And if the wrong things are happening at the wrong times, it can really, change the landscape and kind of the forecast of a season. And then on the flip side of the coin, if things start to come together and, players, play at or above, our expectations, for them, then you're going to win a lot of ball games. And I think that's really what we saw happen. I think, each season is its own, beast, its own thing in a way. And at different points this year, we've dealt with injuries, which every team has to deal with. We've dealt with, some kind of, some lack of performance and some different things. But I think there was always a belief in the roster, belief in the players we had. I think we had to get creative at different points in terms of how we utilized, there's obviously a lot of the talk about the pitching, for a certain period of time, but even, a lot of the decisions, Craig and the staff were making about, position players and where to put them in the lineup and how to navigate slumps and different things. So, certainly gratifying to be in this position of competing for a playoff spot, here again in San Diego and doing it with a group of men that they've been through it a number of times. I think they understand what it takes. And, certainly the goal of the next 5 or 6 weeks is to play some really good baseball and do what's required to play again in October.
Assistant General Manager Josh Stein on with the morning show this morning as part of our manager's report, which is brought to you by SDCCU. It's not big bank banking. It's better. The other thing he had was an update on Joe Musgrove and Nick Pivetta, when the next rehab assignment might be for Joe, and what the latest is.
Both guys are doing well, and both guys were in Arizona yesterday. Actually, Nick was thrown in a kind of a sim game out there, and I think built back up to about 40 pitches. So he's starting to kind of ramp back up. And then Joe's getting close. Obviously went out and pitched well in his last one in AAA. Has been working through a couple things pitch wise. I think he'll probably be here in San Diego this weekend and throwing a bullpen with Ruben and the pitching group, and then we'll get him back out, this next week into another rehab start and get him ready to come up and hopefully have a very impactful, month of September and October for the Padres.
Josh Stein on with the morning show this morning as part of our manager's report. Obviously good news from the Nick Pivetta and Joe Musgrove front. When we come back, what's going on with we got updates on the Mark Walter situation, and kind of the dilemma that they are in, and he is in, and how it impacts potentially the Los Angeles Dodgers. We'll clear that up for you when we come back. We're going to get to this Mark Walter investigation and situation, if you will, and then get to our sports thread here. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. We're broadcasting live from the Bill House Studios. We know how. All right, we gave you this information mostly earlier this week, and there's been some new information to talk about as well. But Dodgers owner Mark Walter is in the middle of a major cleanup of his financial empire. Federal prosecutors and the SEC are looking at whether his insurance companies properly disclosed more than $20 billion in loans and investments tied to his own businesses. He's already sold the Lakers after just 14 months. He's talking about selling his Chelsea stake. And one of his insurers is moving $6.5 billion of related party assets off the books. And so now, as a lot of baseball fans want to know, should Dodger fans and the rest of Major League Baseball be concerned about this? So Walter controls Delaware Life and Clear Spring through his holding company. 893-833-28. Where's that coming from?
My bad.
I hear myself.
Yep. Feedback.
So anyway, Walter controls Delaware Life and Clear Spring through his holding company, TWG Global. After grand jury subpoenas in February, the insurers ran internal reviews and restated related party exposure. Delaware Life went from roughly 3%, approximately $1 to $1.4 billion, to 39 to 42%, more than $17 billion from non-related investments to related investments. Overall, more than $20 billion in loans and investments were identified as involving related parties. No criminal charges have been filed against Walter or the companies. The investigation is ongoing. The companies say they are cooperating and that capital and liquidity remain strong. The latest move in the filings this week, TWG Global is swapping up to $6.5 billion of Delaware Life's transactions by about $90 million. Even after that, more than $10 billion in affiliate investments are expected to remain. This is a cleanup process, not a problem solved. So what's happening right now is as we've talked about a couple of times, the federal government has basically said, look, you can't be there's only a certain amount of assets that you can list as like relatable investments in terms of like investing from the insurance companies you own into other assets that you own. They were way over on that. And the government has basically been like, you guys need to fix this. This is not like it's not about, and a lot of people are using the term fraud out there, but he has not been charged with that. They have not been charged with that. But essentially, Frank, is if I'm reading this correctly, and if we've looked into this correctly, the government and the SEC, they're like, all right, you gotta fix this problem. You can't have all of these investments in your own entities. You have to disclose this amount. You can't have all this money there. And it's been a restructuring process, if you will. New reporting shows that Walter was in talks with Apollo for a multi-billion-dollar loan using his Lakers stake as collateral. That's the information we've gotten this week. Those talks continued into the summer. Then Bob Iger and Josh Kushner came in with $12.5 billion valuation offered. The Lakers sale, after only 14 months of ownership, generated a large amount of liquidity at the exact time the insurers needed to restructure. Financial Times reporting frames the sale as providing vital capital amid the scrutiny. Walter is also in discussions about selling his 12.8% Chelsea stake to Clear Lake. Obviously, assets are being monetized while the insurance balances sheets are cleaned up. Now, in terms of the Dodgers, team executives, including Stan Kasten, have said there are no plans to sell the Dodgers. Sources have repeated that the Lakers move was specific to the Lakers. Delaware Life did have a loan to Dodger Tickets LLC. It was initially reported and as unaffiliated, later reclassified as affiliated, and has since been nearly paid off. Small dollars relative to the overall picture, but it shows definitely the overlap there. Walter's insurance companies helped finance the original 2012 Dodgers purchase, which was interesting. We saw that information pop up this week. It was later reviewed by state regulators at the time. That history is now being re-examined in a broader context. That Walter's insurance companies were used to potentially buy the Dodgers in the first place. There was an article like back then when that happened, Frank, that we saw get reported that one of the writers and one of the big finance writers are like, he was questioning how that was even allowed, and that should be under investigation, and never did. And now all of a sudden that is getting reopened as a potential a potential problem. He brought up in the report from, it was whatever Bill Simmons calls his little podcast, but one of the guys on that podcast brought up, he's like, how do regulators miss such a glaring problem right here? Willingly, right? Yeah, exactly. So I find that to be interesting. I'm curious to see how that goes. But there's obviously reasons for concern with this situation. But the fact that Walters Insurance Companies helped finance the original Dodgers purchase obviously raises a lot of eyebrows. Now, the Dodgers remain one of Walters' largest remaining sports assets and the most valuable. Valuation chatter has put the franchise in about the $10 to $13 billion range. Deferred contracts would take a meaningful bite out of any sale proceeds, if you will. Local TV rights are a major value driver, but that has ties to some of these insurance companies. So, the situation here is, no charges have been filed. So let's not start accusing, Mark Walters for things he has not been charged with at this time. Ensure state capital and liquidity remain strong. Ratings still investment grade. Outlooks have been just adjusted to a negative by some agencies. A $6.5 billion swap is designed to reduce the insurer's dependence on Walter-related assets. So explicit statements of no plans to sell the Dodgers are involved as well. So his insurance companies had more than $20 billion in investments that were ultimately identified as connected to his broader business empire and hadn't been properly disclosed as a related party. Delaware Life is now swapping up to $6.5 billion of those for independent assets. At the same time, new reporting shows he was exploring a big loan against the Lakers before ultimately selling the team at $12.5 billion valuation after only 14 months. That sale is still probably pending with the bus situation. The sale looks like part of a broader liquidity and balance sheet cleanup. Chelsea is also in play to potentially sell, but the Dodgers are the remaining big sports question mark for Mark Walters. Team people say the club is not for sale, but the amount of financial movement around Walter is real. The responsible take, obviously, here is the Dodgers are not in danger, but it's, Walter is clearly restructuring his empire right now. And the biggest reason is, they got to figure out, they got to reallocate $20 billion by the end of the year. And it's not enough time, and they're not making up enough ground to make this happen. It gets very interesting. And the fact that there was a somewhat red flag about him buying the Dodgers initially with some finances from the insurance companies makes this interesting as well. This is just getting more and more messy the more we break this down, Frank.
Really quick,
He draws the foul.
Is that for I Need Money?
Yes, it is. But yeah, it's not necessarily a Dodger story just yet. It's gonna be. This has all the makings of it is going to be, but it's not quite a Dodgers story just yet. This is still a Lakers story. This is still a Mark Walter LA centric story that it's just, but it is, everyone can see the writing on the wall that this is going to trickle down to every other thing he owns. And if it continues this way, he's going to be out of sports entirely because of this.
I don't know how he's going to come up with the $20 billion. I mean, this is just small here, small there. I mean, even if he sold this stuff with the Dodgers, right? If they're valued at $13 billion, with some of the, the payroll that is deferred later on and what, I don't know how he's going to be able to do it by the end of the year. And that's what he's trying to do right now. He's trying to reallocate funds. He's trying to, they're trying to get the books right, because the government's like, you got to fix this. This is a problem. You can't have this. So again, he hasn't been charged with anything yet, but it's fascinating to see how this is playing out, and we just keep getting more and more damning information as this plays along. And Juan Ruiz is right in the chat. I mean, there's a lot of great articles about this in the Washington Post, in the New York Times, about how alarming a lot of these non-disclosures could be as part of the investigation. But not only that, I mean, they're missing this is just for this is like the tip of the iceberg, and I don't think this is for the Dodgers. I mean, this is just for what regulators are missing in general for a lot of different insurance investments in private equity and stuff like that. I mean, what could potentially else be out there for some of this stuff that's not getting flagged, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there could be a lot more coming out of this situation, with the Dodgers. Again, they haven't done. They haven't done anything, at least that the government has deemed as worth being charged for in any capacity. It's not. I mean, they're just trying to restructure what's going on right now, and that's basically what we can report on because that's what's getting reported. I'm not going to say anything I'm not going to speculate on this of what could potentially be on the horizon or what they did or anything like that until we get the facts and the details. But I can't imagine this being very good for the Dodgers in the long term. I don't know how it is. But again, he's going to try to do everything in his power to probably keep the Dodgers and his ownership stake in them. But he's invested in Guggenheim, and that's a big owner of the Dodgers as well, aside from his own personal ownership stake. So this is fascinating information. It really is.
It's the fact that it's caused such a turnover for a guy who never really wanted to be in the spotlight. He's never been one of those owners. He's never been like a Jerry Jones type that is like, okay, yeah, no, I need people to know me. I need people to know where I am and who I am and what I do. He's always been like that quiet type. So now for him to be getting all of this publicity, and you're seeing it from everywhere. You're seeing it from the NBA circles. You're seeing it from the baseball circles, the international soccer circles. This cannot be comfortable for him in any way, shape, or form. And it is really going to put a lot of pressure on him. Like I said, I feel with the way this is all going, it would not surprise me in the slightest if he's out of sports entirely by the end of all this.
I wouldn't necessarily be surprised either. I think it's going to be hard for him to reallocate a lot of these assets and still keep the Dodgers. But who knows? The more information, the more they look into this, the crazier it gets, and the more Jeff Passan said it about the illegal things going on. I don't know if it's fair to say that yet, but it is going to be interesting what these national conglomerates say after shoving down our throats for the last 2 or 3 years that anybody can do this, only to figure out that the money was slightly different than what a lot of people are able to do. I find that part to be a little bit ironic. So I can't wait for that. Now, we're going to get to our sports thread a little bit later, but we did get they passed the word along to the joke that they had. So we mentioned before the Drew Wessling situation, right?
Yes.
So the coaches at Westview took a selfie, tagged us in it. They got one of them's got a drill in his hand, and it goes and the comment is AC working fine at Westview. It's awesome. It's awesome. So good luck to all the football teams out there tonight. High school football starts tonight. Torrey Pines won a big game yesterday in Hawaii. They start the season off 1-0. A lot of games throughout the county this afternoon. Helix and Santa Fe Christian play at 4:00 today at Santa Fe Christian. But we got a lot of fun games that we're going to talk about in the 1:00 hour. But the fun rivalry between Mount Carmel and Westview on display on social media today. But
it's always great.
Thanks for tagging us in that. That's hilarious. I retweeted it on my account, Frank, if you want to do it from the show account. But the Westview guys tuned in to us out there in Penasquito. So appreciate that. Good luck tonight, boys, as you take on Mount Carmel. Good luck to Drew Westling's crew as well. Should be a fun game in Rancho Penasquito. So we'll have a full recap of all the games on Monday. We'll get a preview of some of the games coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. But we're going to get to our sports thread in the next hour. We were also going to dive into some college football later on. We got our NFL training camp report. Brian Yanselson will join us in the next hour. We'll preview Padres and Twins coming up in the next couple of hours. But we got a lot to get to. It's fun. We got football on a Friday. We got Friar Friday. We got a lot going on in the sports world. This is some of the best time of the year. Some of the best time of the year for sports, not only here in San Diego, but in the United States. So when we come back, we'll let you know what's going on in the sports world with the Sports Thread. We will also dive into a quick preview of college football, and we will get into some more Padres baseball talk on the other side. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's Urban Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. New lunchtime hour on the Fan. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, standing as number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We're on each and every day from 10 to 2. And we got a lot for you still in the last 2 hours of the show before we lead you into Gwen and Chris. And, of course, the Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show is you got Padres and Twins coming up later on this evening at 6:40. Ecowater SoCal Padres pregame show at 5:40. Big weekend. For the Padres. Every weekend from here on out is a big weekend. And we'll see what the Padres have in store for us later on tonight. Need to be able to take 2 out of 3 against Minnesota and do it again against Pittsburgh. Will kind of help the 500 road trip, if you will. We're going to talk about high school football in the 1 o'clock hour. We're going to get you a preview of Padres and Twins to end the show today. We'll talk a little bit of San Diego FC. We got some NFL and college football to get to as well. But first, let's get to our sports thread. What else is going on in the sports world?
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what we got going on today?
We have a number of interesting topics going on today.
Number 1.
First of all, future Hall of Fame defensive tackle Aaron Donald worked out with the Rams for the second time this training camp as he continues to consider a return to the NFL. Head coach Sean McVay says he expects Donald to work out again before making his final decision and is hopeful the situation will be resolved soon. Donald retired in March of 2024 after spending his entire 10-year career with the Rams, but the possibility of returning gained momentum after Los Angeles acquired reigning Defensive Player of the Year Myles Garrett back in June. McVay says Donald has earned the right to make the decision on his own timeline. If Donald decides to return, how much can the 35-year-old realistically contribute? And would adding him alongside Myles Garrett give the Rams the most dominant defensive front in the NFL?
I think he's going to continue to work out. I don't think he's working out to determine whether or not he's going to play.
Yeah,
I mean, at this
working out
point,
to work out.
After one workout, you're going to know really quickly if you want to do this or not again. I think he's getting some workouts in to come back, and I think they're going to ease him back into the process. And the thing is he could take the approach like Marshawn Lynch. It's kind of work out here and there throughout the season, get himself in shape. He doesn't have to play a full 17 games. He could probably play the last 8 games and be a huge upgrade for the Rams at that point. Now, he's not going to be vintage Aaron Donald. Not playing for a handful of years is probably is going to hurt him a little bit, but he's still one of the best to do it. You pair him with the D-line that they have in Los Angeles. There's a big reason why they are favorites on Kalshi to win it all this year. I mean, that's because of the fact that they are built in the trenches. They could be adding Aaron Donald. I think he ends up playing for this team. I think he helps them out. I just don't think it's going to be in the first couple of weeks of the season. I think he's going to, kind of join midway through.
Shameless Kalshi plug.
Number 2.
The University of Utah is suing former tight ends coach Freddie Whittingham after he left the program to join his brother Kyle in Michigan. Utah claims Freddie was under contract for January of 2027 and left without providing the required notice or receiving written permission. The school is seeking more than $300,000 for breach of contract and at least $1 million in additional damages, while also accusing Whittingham of recruiting Utah players and prospects for Michigan while still an employee for Utah. Freddie has worked alongside his brother at Utah since 2012 before Kyle stepped down and eventually joined the Michigan staff. In today's college football landscape, should coaches be allowed to leave for another program whenever a better opportunity comes along, or should schools be more aggressive about enforcing contracts like Utah is doing here?
I mean, there needs to be. This is also a problem with college athletics. They're all everybody's acting like the pros now anyway for money, which is fine. Go, but these contracts you shouldn't like be allowed to just like buy these coaches out and like, they shouldn't be able to just leave whenever they want. They should have to like live out the contract because you'll see this in the NFL, right? Like you can't just do this in the NFL. You're under contract. You can't talk to other teams. Like these are all the rules that need to go in place since college athletics is now professional. You got to put it. This is why these rules exist in the first place, because this stuff is stupid.
Yep, agreed.
Number 3.
The Seattle Mariners are calling up Cade Anderson, the top pitching prospect in baseball, to make his major league debut Saturday night against the Chicago Cubs. The 22-year-old left-hander has been nearly untouchable at AA Arkansas, going 10-1 with a 1.06 ERA and 135 strikeouts, in 93 and a third innings. Seattle is making the move while sitting at 60 and 68 and trying to keep its postseason hopes alive after a disappointing follow-up to last year's ALCS run. Anderson brings a mid-90s fastball, 2 breaking pitches, and an elite changeup, and evaluators believe his command and secondary stuff could allow him to succeed immediately. With the Mariners fighting to stay in a playoff race, is calling up Cade Anderson the spark Seattle needs, or should the organization prioritize long-term development for Anderson rather than rushing its pitching prospect into a struggling team?
I'm sorry, can he hit?
No.
Is he a good hitter?
He probably.
Is he a good hitter?
You never know.
I mean, they already have all this great pitching. They don't score any runs. Like, they can't score any runs. They haven't been able to score runs. They haven't been able to, like, keep anybody that actually does score runs. They finally did with Josh Naylor, but, like, they don't score any runs. That's why they're 8 games under 500. It's not because their pitching isn't good. If you look at the American League, which is terrible, guess who has scored the least amount of runs in the American League? Seattle. Guess who? By the way, if we're going to do this, Guess who has scored the least amount of runs in all of baseball? Seattle. They have scored a grand total of 500 runs. That seems like a lot. It is, in fact, the worst. It is the least. They have scored the least amount of runs in Major League Baseball. So unless this kid can swing the bat, I don't necessarily think it's going to be a question. I don't think it's going to be a spark. What kind of spark you to get out of this? I mean, all right, cool. The guy shoved and we lost 1-0 because we can't score. The Mariners have scored the least amount of runs. Now, it's only 7 off the pace of the Guardians, who have scored 507 runs. But Seattle's 8 games under 500, and they don't score any runs. They have no offense. They're terrible offensively. Sure, let's bring up the young pitching prospect. It'll help us out a little bit. Do you know how many runs? I mean, do you know what team has scored the most runs in Major League Baseball?
LA.
It's the Washington Nationals.
Oh, wow.
They've scored 676 runs. The Washington Nationals have scored 176 more runs than the Seattle Mariners this year. Padres are not very high on that list either. They've scored 543 runs. But you know what? It's a lot better than 500 that the Seattle Mariners have scored.
Laying out all hope on Sparky Anderson.
He draws the foul.
Number 4.
The Kansas City Royals move closer to a new downtown stadium after the city council approved a $600 million public commitment towards the project. The proposed $1.9 billion ballpark would be the centerpiece of a larger $3 billion mixed-use development with Hallmark cards. Okay. The Royals have pledged $760 million themselves and are seeking another $540 million from the state. The team hopes to break ground next year with the goal of opening the new stadium by the 2030 season. The deal would also keep the Royals in Kansas City for at least another 30 years and includes more than $500 million in community contributions. Is a new downtown Royals stadium worthwhile investment that can transform Kansas City, or should taxpayers be more skeptical of putting hundreds of millions of dollars towards professional sporting facilities?
I think if they built a new stadium in downtown Kansas City, it'd probably benefit the surrounding area.
Yeah.
I'm not in the agreement with people that like it doesn't improve anything in terms of like the surrounding area. I mean, we've seen it with Petco Park, right? Now, I don't necessarily think that the people of Kansas City should have to pay for it, though. These owners have tons of money. Build your own stadium. Seriously. Like, where if we all collectively as a country and as taxpayers stood together and said, we are no longer funding professional sports stadiums anywhere, would any of these teams be able to move?
No,
they wouldn't be able to move. I mean, if we could end this together collectively. We were just like, you know what? We're not doing this anymore. Now, people in those areas are more inclined to sign up for a small percentage of the tax, especially if it's like some type of hotel tax or whatever it may be, when they don't pay a lot of money in taxes. In California, we pay a lot of money in taxes for almost everything. And so that's why it's almost impossible to get anything built here in California. But I see both sides to this. I see the side of like, it does help the local community. I get that. But I also see the side of like, why do we have to pay for it? We're already going to pay for it by paying for all this high level prices for food and drink and tickets and all that other stuff, right? Like, you build the stadium. It is your team. It is the place that your team needs to play in. You are going to own said stadium unless the people of Kansas City get to own the stadium outright. There should be no reason to publicly fund stadiums. None. That's what the owners of that's what the team should do. If you want to own the stadium, you go build it. Like, the Rams went and built their own stadium. You know, Jerry Jones built a stadium in Arlington, and Arlington did give them money, but Jerry said anything that goes over the project, I'm paying for it. And he did. He paid for everything that went over the top of the project. I mean, this is the citizens and the fans are already funding these teams with this. This is a joke. Did you see the Raiders thing too?
No, I heard that they're looking to do renovations because the inside of the building is god awful.
It's not even the inside of the building. It's like the outside. The Raiders want to do a $158 million Allegiant Stadium North Plaza project. And they're asking Vegas to give them $75 million.
Stop it.
You're improving your stadium. You pay for it. Seriously. Like, that stadium is 6 years old. They want to improve it? Fine. You pay for it. That seems fair to me. I mean, the Stadium Authority said it projects over $80 million in residual funds to be available through the June 30th of next year. There's all of this money that they were asking for. It's like the Raiders are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They have done absolutely nothing for Vegas in terms of like bringing them a championship. I'm sure that's like that stadium has helped them maybe a little bit. I mean, people already go to Vegas, but like, Vegas already has all this funding, or all these stadiums that fund their stuff, right? Like, what do they need to give the Raiders money to improve stuff on for? I mean, eventually we as citizens got to be like, you know what, enough is enough. I don't know, why are we writing these checks for these corporations to build these gigantic facilities that they can afford themselves?
The Las Vegas Golden Knights, an ice hockey team in the middle of the desert, has done more for Las Vegas than the Raiders have.
Right.
An ice hockey team in the desert has done more than a professional football team.
Number 5.
Brazilian soccer legend Ronaldinho is back. He is back in the game after being unveiled as the new number 10 for Ravenna, which is an Italian city, C for those of you in America. The 46-year-old former Ballon d'Or winner was greeted by roughly 6,000 fans at a rain-soaked beachside presentation more than a decade after retiring from professional soccer. Ronaldinho last played for Fluminense in 2015, a Brazilian side, and previously spent 3 seasons in Italy with AC Milan. He says he feels good and wants to help Ravenna, although It remains unclear how much he will actually play. The club's president even hopes Ronaldinho can score his final goal of his professional career with the club. If Ronaldinho is healthy enough to play meaningful minutes, how much excitement could a player of his stature bring to a lower division club? And would you want to see other retired legends make a similar comeback?
I mean, I guess it'd be kind of fun. I mean, eventually, though, like they just get to a point where they're not the same player they used to be.
No,
so it's not as fun.
If you go to Ravenna to see, and now I started watching soccer a little bit late. I only know of Ronaldinho from AC Milan on. I never saw him play in his Barcelona days. He is a legendary player. His one-on-one ball skills are unmatched from anyone who has ever played the game, period. He is a wizard when it comes to one-on-one and just like dribbling skill. You are going to see a shell of what he used to be, if that. It'll draw people to those games, but he will not resemble remotely the player that he used to be.
I mean, are you trying to if you did that for other players, like in other sports,
it's like
do you want to go watch some of these, guys go, you want to watch some of these guys play?
We just talked about Aaron Donald. Imagine if he had retired in March of 2016 instead of March of 2024, and he's trying to come back now. That's what we're talking about here. It's a player who is near the height of the sport when he retired and is now a decade later coming back. Would you want to see Aaron Donald if that were the case?
Well, football is different because it's a very physical sport. I mean, we're talking if you talk about baseball in general, like baseball, I think is a better comparison. I mean, think about some of these. Like, do you want to see, Miguel Cabrera go play right now?
No,
not really. It doesn't do anything for me.
This is the Mets and Jets signing Tim Tebow. That's what this is. They're signing the name, knowing that he's not going to help them in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, you got to be thinking about like players from 2016.
Yeah,
right. I mean, who were some of the best players in 2016? That's where you're looking for to potentially be somebody you want to go see again. I mean, you're not seeing them again. You're just you're seeing something not even close to it. So no, I don't. It's not worth the price of admission.
No,
definitely not.
It would not be.
All right. So that's the sports thread for you. We're going to get to some other things in the sports world here coming up. I was looking up the 2016 season, trying to find, see if they had some of the, who has some of the best hitters that year.
Like guys who
Baseball
stopped
Reference.
in 2016.
Yeah. I mean, you're looking at guys like Robinson Cano, right? Edwin Encarnacion, Josh Donaldson, maybe. I mean, these are some of the guys that were near the top of their game. Matt Kemp, 31-year-old Matt Kemp. You want to see Matt Kemp now?
I don't want to see Matt Kemp play baseball right now.
Not particularly. All right, when we come back, we had some interesting news in the college football world. We're going to get to some of that. Plus, Power Rankings came out. We'll get you a quick preview of what to expect starting next week with college football on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Sports Station 97 through the Fan. What's up, guys? It's Braden Surprenant. Before the season even kicks off, everyone's making predictions. Who makes the playoff, who wins their conference, and who's lifting the trophy at the end of the season. On Kalshi, America's #1 prediction market platform, you can trade those predictions in a live market. Indiana is coming off a championship season, so the big question is, Can they do it again? Right now, Indiana is trading at 9% to win it all, meaning a $100 trade would pay out about $100 or $1,100 if they repeat as champions. And as the season gets closer, those probabilities can move in real time. On Kalshi, you're trading against peers in a live market, meaning there's no house. And as the probability changes, you can buy in and out of your position. Download the Kalshi app, use code BSERP to get $10 when you trade 10, K-A-L-S-H-I, Kalshi. Trade on anything. Must be 18 years over. Only restrictions and eligibility requirements apply. Kalshi products are not available in all jurisdictions. Prices, values, and available markets may differ from those mentioned. For more information, see kalshi.com/regulatory. All of our guests join us on the STCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bank Banking. It's better. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. It's the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego Summer Sports Station, 97.3 The Fan. We got some college football we can finally dive into. We have a mess on our hands on the entire, whether or not some players are eligible from the class of 2022, and whether they are or they're not. And now, after the latest ruling from a appellate court, if you will, that ruled in favor of the NCAA, there's going to be some kids that might be eligible and some that are not. I mean, some people move back onto college campuses. It's just a gigantic mess that is college athletics.
Yeah, it really is. And again, I understand like extending eligibility for kids who missed the COVID season.
Right.
I get that. But now it's just to any athlete who hasn't used up all 5 years of their eligibility. That is absolutely absurd.
It is absurd. Now, that being said, we could talk about the teams and talk about the on-field product. Today, Mark Schlabach released his 2026 preseason power rankings. And the biggest takeaway, ESPN is not they're a little bit Mark's a little bit different than the AP poll. He's got Ohio State at number 1. He's got Georgia at 2, Notre Dame 3, Oregon 4. Doesn't have Indiana in the top 5 or 6. In fact, Indiana comes at number 8. They got Texas Tech at 9. LSU rounds up in the top 10. Again, just kind of a quick preview of the season. It's hard to pick against some of these teams, but there's always going to be some teams that are ranked in the top 10 that don't even finish the season ranked. And there's teams that are usually outside the top 25 that finish the season in the top 10. Preseason rankings in general, Frank, I think is a little bit of a joke, but I'm excited to get back to college football coming up in the next couple of weeks. Right now, looking at the top teams in college athletics, in college football, in particular, who's the team that you think stands out as the team to beat in 2026?
Ohio State always has a good team, as much as it pains me to say it. Georgia's usually always good. Used to be Alabama was right up at the top of this list as well, but
he's got Alabama at 16.
Yeah,
and the AP poll had him at like 13.
Yeah, they have not been great. They were not great last year. I have a hard time consistently buying into the Texas hype. I don't think they're going to be as good as everyone always thinks they're going to be. Indiana I think is going to have another really, really good season. Oregon always there as a contender. I think if you're talking about it, I think a lot of the Big Ten teams are going to be towards the top come the end of the year.
We're going to find out really quickly about Ohio State football, because their schedule's rough.
They start off against Texas, no? Or
they get Ball State first. I mean, their schedule is rough to an extent, as rough as it could potentially be for a Big Ten SEC school. Like, there's not a lot of Big Ten SEC schools that are playing like incredible schedules, and most of their schedules that are difficult are the ones that have, it's based on their conference schedule. They do have to go to Texas the second week of the year.
To Texas, or is that a neutral site?
It's at Texas.
Wow.
That's a 4:30 kick on ABC. Remember, Texas was at Ohio State last year.
Okay.
You got to see Arch Manning play. Ohio State's got Julian Sayin as their quarterback, the Carlsbad kid here from San Diego. So, but they're going to roll through Ball State. If you're not believing in Texas, Frank, then I would imagine that you would think that Ohio State could beat Texas. I think Ohio State's better than Texas as well. I think the game on the road, it makes it a little bit more difficult. Then they got Kent State, who's bad. They got Illinois, who was, a little bit better in years past. They got to go to Iowa, which is interesting. But it really comes in the second half of the season. Ohio State goes to Indiana. They go to USC. They got Oregon at home. They finished the season with Michigan, which I don't know if Michigan's going to be ranked by the time that they play them. It is a more difficult Big Ten schedule for Ohio State, but I don't necessarily think that Ohio State's the best team in the country. I think they're the safest to start at number 1 if you're going to rank these teams.
I think Ohio State being number 1, I think is actually okay. I don't think that's all that wrong. Let me go into.
I think it's safe. I think it's safe to pick Ohio State.
For sure,
I think it's safe. I don't necessarily think they're the best team. I do think Georgia is a team that's going to get back to their super dominant stage. I mean, they've done a phenomenal job, obviously, over the last handful of years. They've gotten the raw end of the stick with like some of their championship games that they have failed to win in recent memory. Last year they ran into the injury bug late, but like I think they're better than Notre Dame. I think they're better than Oregon. I think they're better than Texas. They always have a really good defense, and they last year they had some issues generating pressure, but I think they are a team that's going to be a lot better in kind of a bounce back year, if you will. It says whatever that means for a team like Georgia. But their defense is going to carry them. If I look at like making my rankings, and I do it for the girls flag football here in town, and I do it for boys football. But I start looking at these teams like head to head. If Georgia played Notre Dame head to head, I got Georgia. I believe Georgia's better than them. If Oregon and Georgia played head to head, I probably still have Georgia. I think Georgia's better than Texas. I really do. And you start going down the list, I think they're better than Miami. I mean, I think Indiana might be a little bit of a battle just because Cignetti is a pretty good coach and they've been getting some good talent up there at Indiana. But I like Georgia over a lot of these teams. I don't necessarily know if I like Georgia more than Ohio State. And Ohio State, as much as I don't like Ohio State, they continue to churn out really good football teams. So I can't be that off of what Mark Slobach put out for his power rankings. I think Notre Dame is getting a little overhyped to start the year.
Of course,
here's the thing though, but they're going to start the season at minimum 6-0. They got Wisconsin to start the year, and Trav Gundy's in the YouTube chats boys are not going to come close to beating Notre Dame. And then they got Rice, and then they play Michigan State. But you know what it is? It's not 8 years ago Michigan State. It's not 2014 Michigan State. This is a bad Michigan State team. And then they go to Purdue, and then they got North Carolina, who knows how good they're going to be. Obviously the first game in Ireland's going to be a crapshoot, but like they're not like a world beater team. They got Stanford. Their toughest matchup is October 17th when they go to BYU, and we don't even necessarily know how good BYU is going to be this year. The fact that they have to play them on the road, I think, is going to make it difficult. But that's not necessarily like the toughest game in the world. They got Navy. They finally get to play somebody like legit Miami. They get them at home in November. Boston College, terrible. SMU at home, to get them at home, and they go to Syracuse. I mean, yes, they got 3 teams on their schedule that are preseason ranked in the top 25, but I mean, Notre Dame's going to go 11-1, and people are going to think they're like the greatest thing ever, and then they're going to get to the playoff, and then they're going to run into a team that's actually good, and you're going to get a major fraud alert with Notre Dame. And it happens all the time.
And they don't even need to do that. They just have to go. They just have to be in the top 12, and they're guaranteed.
And they're guaranteed,
contractually guaranteed to be in the playoff this year.
It's stupid.
And their toughest games are at home.
Right. Oregon's got a pretty tough schedule too. They do got to go to Ohio State, and we talked about that. For Ohio State, I think they're going to have a good team, but until Oregon can really do well in the trenches, and we've seen them get burned by that a handful of times, it's hard for me to believe Oregon. I mean, the O stands for 0 national championships for a reason. They haven't been able to get over the hump. They got a very easy schedule to begin with. I mean, obviously, Boise State's a tough challenge out of the gate. We don't know how good Boise's going to be.
Did you see Boise State's new helmets?
Those are sweet.
Those are
I'm not a big Boise State fan, but those are sweet.
Those are beautiful.
The blue turf ones.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma State, I don't think they're going to be very good. I don't necessarily think that's a trap game early. Portland State, they're playing San Diego State week 1. Oregon's going to be at USC in September. And then they got UCLA, Nebraska, Illinois, Northwestern. They end the season with Ohio State, Michigan, and Washington in a 4-week span. But they're going to get the benefit of playing in a Big Ten conference. It's okay. I'm not a believer in Michigan this year. Ohio State will be tough on the road, obviously, but Oregon probably goes at worst 10-2.
I would assume that one of those losses, I think, being Ohio State and potentially
they might lose at SC.
Yeah, that was the one that stood out. That as one that they could drop. Yeah.
And speaking of SC, and this will be the last of the college football before we move on to our next thing. USC has an opportunity to put a good season together, I think. And I'm not a huge believer in USC more times than not, but I will tell you about the Trojans. I like my guy Gary Patterson there. They're under some major scrutiny right now. Lincoln Riley is. He has to have a good season. They got some tough games, in the middle of the year. But I look at USC, and they get to play the first 3 games at home. They get one. They have to go to the East Coast to play Rutgers. But out of their first, Out of their first 6 games, 5 of them are at home. Yeah. San Jose State, Fresno State, Louisiana, Oregon's at home, Washington's at home. They got a tough test at Penn State, but I think they're better than Penn State.
They are.
I think Penn State's a fool's gold team this year. I don't think they're going to be very good. I think they're going to be benefited from the fact that their schedule sucks. And I think USC can go to Penn State and win. I think they can go to Wisconsin and win. I don't think they beat Ohio State or Indiana, but I think the ceiling for USC is 10-2. I think that's good enough, 1, to keep Lincoln Riley's job, and 2, I think it's good enough to be a playoff contender.
I think at their best, Penn State is a 9-3 team this year. At best.
I think they can go 10-2. I think they can beat Oregon at home. I think at home it's a little bit different.
Penn State does not have Oregon this year.
I was talking about SC. Sorry.
Oh.
I think SC can go 10-2. Penn State 9-3.
At best. That's losing to USC, Michigan, and Washington at minimum.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be very good. I just don't know how Iowa State, with the year that they had last year, is going to do well this year as Penn State. I don't see how that's going to be possible. I mean, they're not going to be great. They'll have a good record because they'll beat up on some bad teams. But I don't think they're going to be great. We'll talk more college football obviously next week. The season starts next week. When we come back, Brian Yanselson will join us on the SDCCU fan hotline, get an update from AA San Antonio as we continue on the Braden Surprenant Show, Standing Summer Sports Station 97 to the Fan. 12:43 on a Friday. We got some time before we try to track down Brian Yanselson. He will join us on the SDCCU fan hotline. It's not Big Bang Banking. It's better. Excited for college football to be back soon. Next week. 8 days out. 8 days out. And then I got to start college football season with my team as the first ever game in Ireland, which a lot of bad things usually happen in the week 0 game in Ireland. So hopefully, I don't know, hopefully the Frogs can take care of business against the disaster that is the North Carolina Tar Heels. Although, you never know. Never know. Augie in the YouTube chat asked about the Hard Knocks, and is anybody disappointed with Hard Knocks? I just feel like Hard Knocks now is just kind of the same all the time. Like, it's just, yeah, I think Hard Knocks this year, I've watched every episode of the Seahawks Hard Knocks. And it's fine. I think it's interesting to see a team that's actually good on Hard Knocks. Like, usually when you watch Hard Knocks, it's a team that sucks. And you could sit there, and after about 10 minutes of the first episode, you just go, yeah, I can see why this team never wins. Like, just organizationally. Like, you could just see why they are a massive problem. So I think it's fine. I think I think the Terrion Arnold situation with them is a little bit overplayed. I mean, Hard Knocks used to have like stories about guys trying to make the team. And it was a little bit more interesting. Now it's like, look at these TikTok videos they make and look at this other. I mean, it's okay. I thought the other thing I thought that was kind of lame with Hard Knocks in the last episode was the game action is usually kind of fun. I get the Seahawks kind of got their ass kicked by the Cowboys in that first preseason game, but yeah, that stuff is I think better than a lot of the nonsense in between. But I think they've spent too much time with Terrion Arnold, who you don't even know if he's going to be available to play due to the charges he is facing. I think Mike McDonald is cool. I mean, he's definitely like nerdy football guy, but he seems like a good coach. Players seem to like him. I think some of the stuff is kind of funny. Get to see some of these players in a more fun mode. But it's okay. It's just Hard Knocks hasn't really been the same as it's been in the years past. But it is cool to see a team that's actually good participate on Hard Knocks because you get to see why they're good. They take care of the little things. But it's the dudes battling for spots. I agree with Augie. Like that's what made like Hard Knocks such a great show. And now you're not really getting that as much on Hard Knocks. And they haven't really done that in the last couple of years. They just, I don't know. I don't know if they've picked guys. Maybe they just don't know it. Maybe it's just not as entertaining for other people. You want to learn more about the stars, but I feel like they probably got a lot more roster battles that are good. That would be fun to watch. But anyway, do we have any update or?
I do not. No.
All right. Well, let's we can get back to some of our other stuff that we haven't gotten to yet today. And we're talking about either college football or the NFL, our camp update, if you will. We're gonna get to our high school football report in just a little bit. Interesting story today by Dennis Lynn on the San Diego Padres about betting against the small market mentality that Peter Seidler had done. For decades, the Padres operated like a franchise that believed its market limited what it could do. And Peter Seidler changed that and changed this direction of this organization. 2019, the Padres signed Manny Machado a 10-year, $300 million contract. 2023, Machado received an 11-year, $350 million extension, contract. And Xander Bogaerts received an 11-year, $280 million deal. San Diego eventually produced Major League Baseball's third highest payroll in 2021. Padres opened the season with $176 million payroll, nearly $70 million above their previous full season record. And the strategy was simple: spend first and figure out how to generate the revenue to support it. And that is almost the opposite of what traditional small market teams live by. I mean, the Seidler family just flipped this organization like that. And the Manny Machado signing was obviously a very much transformational moment. And, I think the Padres, built this strategy of, spend, win, create excitement, then increase attendance and revenue, support spending, become more valuable. And the fans have responded with this Padres team. And I think a lot of it too, I think it was like kind of the perfect storm for this Padres team. One, you got an owner that was willing to spend and wanted to bring talent here. Two, you got the backing from the fans, but also like losing the Chargers was a big help for the San Diego Padres because they benefited financially and culturally from the Chargers leaving. When the Chargers moved to LA in 2017, the Padres became the only team in town, and San Diego became the only MLB city without another Big Four professional sports franchise. I mean, we are the first small market team. We are the first team in general that is just a baseball town. I mean, this is like an experiment, right? You can even talk about it with the radio. I mean, this is a market that was never a baseball market. I mean, it was, you would talk about the Padres and they were okay and you would pay attention to them, but it was immediately we're into football mode right now. I mean, you would be talking about football. You wouldn't really be talking about baseball. You wouldn't be talking about the Padres. But the Padres got more sports attention. They got more corporate sponsorship. They got more ticket dollars, media attention, fan loyalty, summer entertainment dollars. Petco Park has become more than just the baseball stadium. They've done such a great job of making that a facility that people want to be at regardless. The television market is what it is. It's still a major problem, but I think this is what the Seidlers did. As they have now sold the team to Jose Feliciano and Kwanzaa Jones, they established this Padres team of being a team that is I think not only a staple here in town, but a contender for years to come, and really kicking the narrative about the small market vibe. But I will say this, because like the Players Association likes using the Padres as a pawn for their game to try to fight against the salary cap. As much as we like to say, like, the Dodgers do stuff that nobody else can do, the Padres do a lot of things that not a lot of small market teams can do.
Yeah, they did something that no other small market team has been able to do, which is kick that notion of being a small market team. And San Diego now is considered a big. It's not a big market in the sense of Chicago, New York, LA, but it is a bigger market. It has gotten themselves into kind of this level where they're not Kansas City anymore. They're not Tampa Bay anymore. They're a lot closer to New York and Chicago now than they are to Minnesota or Texas, the Rangers. So they have definitely done a lot of work, and the fact that this has been sustained instead of seeing like the Royals make the World Series once and then just completely stall out for the next decade, or Tampa Bay doing the same thing, this sustained success has definitely catapulted them into a level of their own, not quite at the tippy top, but also no longer at the bottom where they used to be.
Right. San Diego's still like relatively a small market because that comes from television dollars, and that's why they don't have a big TV deal. There's a lot of people that have been like, well, I hope the new owners find a better TV deal. Like, with who exactly? You can only the TV deals come off of how much they can sell advertising to. But, even if the Padres are very good and you have a good market, you need to have like major companies in town throwing money at the broadcast. And you don't see that because you don't have a lot of those companies in San Diego. You have a handful, right? Like Qualcomm's here and stuff, and Northrop Grumman's here, and they, there's some big companies throughout San Diego that you'll see, but it's not enough to move the needle. It's not. And the people need to understand, like, just because you have a big population doesn't mean you have a big TV market. These other markets are massive. But the other thing too that I think is, the perfect storm with the Padres is the state of, as a small market team, not having the Chargers is huge for them specifically. Is it the best for us in terms of being a sports market? I don't necessarily if I agree with that, but it definitely helps the Padres out in a massive way, because if you look at the other teams that the Players Association specifically, Frank, complain about that don't spend money. Those organizations all have to compete with major sports teams in their city, right? Like Miami's got to deal with the Dolphins off the top of my head. Like that's like the NFL, right? If you just look at like how many of these baseball teams don't have to compete with the NFL, that's your list. And the teams that don't have to compete with the NFL usually have the NBA or the NHL that they have to compete with too, or both, right? Like it's a little bit different. Right? It's a little bit different. Having to compete with the NFL is difficult for a lot of these organizations. And that's not me giving them, letting them off the hook for not spending money that they should be spending on players. But Padres are in a very unique situation. And we're blessed to have an owner, Peter Seidler, and the Seidler family that wanted to spend money and make this organization a winning organization. When we come back, high school football is back. We'll get you a preview of that. Baseball coverage on 97 to the Fan is presented by Xfinity. Score the most reliable Wi-Fi. One price, 5 years guaranteed. Xfinity, imagine that. Frank, did you know it was Players Weekend this weekend?
I did not know. Good job, Major League Baseball, once again.
I know. I didn't know until the Padres tweeted something out. They tweeted this out 37 seconds ago. Call us by our nicknames. It's their nickname guide. So not everybody has to have one on there, but I think almost every Padre does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All the position players do. It seems like. But they have put out the Players Weekend nickname guide.
You know what they have not put out?
A lineup?
No, they're starting pitcher.
Isn't it supposed to be Randy Vasquez?
He's not on MLB.com.
I know. Well, Scan replied to somebody.
He did, yes.
And said that Randy Vasquez was pitching. So who knows if he is getting the bulk or not. We'll see what happens on that front. But as we do once a week, it is time to get to our minor league report as we head on to Double-A San Antonio. And joining us on the SDCCU fan hotline, it's not Big Bang Banking, it's better, is the play-by-play voice of the San Antonio Missions in Brian Yanselson. Tracked him down, joins us now. Brian, what's going on? How's your Friday?
It is great. It's a game day here at the Wolves, so getting geared up for another game here in a few hours, and excited to join you guys as always.
Always great to have you on. Always great talking some Missions baseball, if you will. I saw some recent moves not too long ago with the Double-A San Antonio. You actually got a couple of players that I covered at the University of San Diego. I didn't know that JD got pulled up either, but Jack Costello, Justin Decrecio have now showed up onto the Missions roster, according to at least the website. But I did see Jack Costello hit a home run in his debut. A couple of guys that I've known from their college days. What have the USD guys done for the Missions so far?
Yeah, they've been great. They've been a couple of the new guys in this kind of second wave, even after the trade deadline and all that settled in. We got another round of players up from Fort Wayne, and Decrecio came up this Tuesday, and he's gotten a hit in all 3 games. He's starting at shortstop after Carson Tucker unfortunately went down with an injury. And so he has fit in right away, been a spark plug. He's stolen a couple of bags, scored a couple of runs, and been a big part of the Mission's 3 wins this week, 3-0 against the Naturals so far. And Costello, man, he's played everywhere. He's played at first base, third base, left field, and right field already. And pretty much everywhere the Missions have put him, he has done well defensively. And like you said, hit a home run up in Frisco. And so it's been good to have some new energy and really infusing the Missions with some positive momentum as this home stretch goes and the playoffs are on the horizon potentially.
Yeah, as they where they are at in the standings, we'll get to that in just a second. Obviously, still within a couple of games, not too bad, but near the bottom of the standings. But I don't know if you gotten to talk about this, but like kind of the connection with Costello and Decrecio for Padres fans out there. I mean, I know it's like down the line of coaching, but their college coach. In Brock Ungrich, and maybe you know about this, maybe not, and maybe you can add it to your broadcast tonight if they're both in the lineup. But their baseball coach at the University of San Diego, Brock Ungrich, played at San Diego State, and he has a really good offensive mind and taught JD and Costello the proper forms of hitting, if you will, and he got it from his head coach in college, which was the late, great Tony Gwynn. So there's a little bit of a connection there for you, Brian, if you didn't know.
No, I love that. I appreciate you sharing. And we are used to having some USD products. We had Ripken Reyes on our team for quite some time after he transferred from Cal over to USD. And so it's really cool to see a lot of Toreros in the lineup, and we'll be sure to mention that moving forward. So I'll give you a shout out tonight.
No, I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you very much. Let's talk about the Missions in general. All right, they're 2 games out of they're in last place, but they're 2 games out of first in the Texas League South at 23 and 25. The minor leagues have a first half and a second half. For a lot of people in the audience that might not know, what's the playoffs like for Double-A San Antonio in terms of first half, second half? How do they form the playoffs? When do they start? And obviously the Mission's right there in the thick of things, only 2 games out of first place in the Texas League South.
Exactly right. We are right in the middle of it. Even though we're in last place and have 3 teams to jump, we're 2 games back. You got to throw Frisco out of the picture. They already won the first half, so they don't matter. Even if they finished in first place of the second half, it'll be whoever finishes in second place of the second half. It used to be overall record if that were the case, but now it's second place in the second half. And so San Antonio looking to jump Corpus Christi, Midland, and Amarillo. And what's really exciting is the Mission still play Midland here at home in the home series finale here in September. And we finish the year in Amarillo. And so out of the 21 games we have left, 12 of them are against teams that are right in front of us. And this week we've seen Midland and Corpus Christi do battle. So they're kind of cannibalizing each other. Next week, Amarillo plays Corpus Christi while we go to Springfield. And so some opportunity here. We've really beat up on the Naturals, who have the worst record in the entire Texas League, not only in the second half, but at large. And we're taking advantage of that. 3 wins in 3 tries. We have 3 left. Then we go to Springfield to face a tough team. But everything's right there in front of us. And the biggest hope has to be making those last 2 series against Midland and Amarillo really mean something. And it looks like it certainly will.
Obviously, with the trade deadline, now a couple of weeks in the past in the rearview mirror, Padres didn't give up on too many prospects. Only 3 ended up getting shipped out. Obviously, one of them being in their top 5, or a couple of them being in their top 5, but not as much fireworks as you're used to, Brian, when it comes to the trade deadline for the Padres. But since the trade deadline, who have been some of the key contributors for this Padres farm system in Double-A?
No, we definitely didn't get hit this time, which was nice. I know so many people reached out that day and they're like, "Hey, you're okay? Nothing happened?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we're pretty fresh." But we did have Ethan Salas, of course, get called up to AAA, and so that was a loss for the lineup at the time, and figured that might really hurt the production offensively. But it has picked up tremendously thanks to guys like Alex McCoy. He got called up a week ago today while we were in Frisco. And in his first game over there against the Rough Riders, hit 2 home runs and has absolutely been on fire. He has started every single game. He got a walk-off hit yesterday. He's hitting .414 with 2 homers, 2 doubles, and 9 RBIs since joining last week in Frisco. So he has been huge. Romeo Sanabria, he got called back down from El Paso. He had gone up a little bit, wasn't getting a ton of playing time, hit a grand slam with the Chihuahuas, but, wasn't playing a ton. So he came back down, and he's hitting .428 since coming back on August 7th. So I think those have been the 2 biggest names offensively. Albert Fabian, he leads the team in batting average and is hitting .373 in the month of August. He has just kind of come out of nowhere and been the most consistent player in the lineup over the last month or so. And then the pitching is where you really got to look at it. The bullpen, I'm telling you, every single arm that the Missions pull out of the bullpen seems to get better and better, especially when you look at the back end. Garrett Hawkins, the 2025 Pitcher of the Year for the Padres, he picked up the win yesterday, kept the runner at second in the 11th inning, the ghost runner. And Josh Mallett, he has been electric. Both of those in the top 30, according to MLB Pipeline now. Mallett's in there for the first time. He and Hawkins are both guys that you never know could get the call like David Morgan and Bradley Rodriguez did last year. And so I would say those are some of the big contributors leading to the Missions turnaround here in the second half.
Obviously, one of the big names when talking about the Missions has been, one of their bullpen arms. I think a lot of people were, diehard Padres fans that, watch all of your broadcasts and are super into the minor leagues and seeing this organization as a whole. Didn't want to see Tucker Musgrove leave, and the Padres held on to him. He has been great in relief, obviously, for the Missions. But, what can you tell Padres fans about Tucker Musgrove and why he's ranked so high in the Padres farm system?
Absolutely. And you see, I left him out in the initial list because there's been too many good contributors, but Tucker Musgrove has been just as good, if not better than most in the bullpen. He's struck out 24 in his last 12 and 2/3 innings. So that's almost 2 strikeouts an inning, pretty much untouchable. He hasn't pitched quite as much as other guys. I think they're taking care of him. He had surgery a few years ago, just wanting to make sure everything is crystal clear, not pushing him too much. But when he's out there, he is doing his job. He hasn't allowed a run in 12 of his 15 outings, and he just looks better and better every time he goes out on the mound. He throws high 90s. He's got wicked breaking stuff and has been a really good addition to this bullpen.
We're talking with Brian Yancelson. He's the play-by-play man of the San Antonio Missions, the Double-A affiliate of your San Diego Padres, getting us an update on the minor leagues. Obviously, Ethan Salas is no longer with the Missions. He's been in AAA now for a couple of weeks. He's done a great job in El Paso. And there's been some rumors about him maybe even getting a call up to the big leagues by the end of the year. In terms of, in your time covering him and what people have said about Ethan Salas, and we've had this conversation a lot, but, he continues to pass a lot of tests. Would you be surprised if the Padres pulled him up at the end of the season, and knowing like the player that he is and the makeup that he's got, What's your analysis of Ethan Salas and how much further he might be away from potentially making a big league club?
I would not be surprised at all if he gets the call to San Diego, and he just keeps proving at every level, every test he's given, that he can do it. He's been on fire since going up to El Paso. It's bittersweet to see every highlight of his because we miss him so much, both as a player and as a person. He just brought so much energy. We've talked on the show before about how much looser and more relaxed he was this year, always smiling, always having a good time. And so seeing him up there, it's like, we miss you, Ethan. But I definitely could see him going to San Diego just because his approach is what has allowed him to succeed this year at the plate. And that approach will carry with him to whatever level he goes. His plate discipline, his ability to not chase balls out of the zone, that's going to translate. It's going to be tougher pitching, of course, and it's going to be a daily grind of facing the absolute best. But if anybody can handle it, it's definitely Ethan Salas. And I think we've all known, the Padres have known that catching-wise, defensively, he's been ready for quite some time. It's been the offense that has needed to catch up. And I definitely think this year it has more than caught up.
Aside from the math for the missions in terms of they got to be better than the 4 teams that you mentioned, what do the missions have to do in their next couple of series here to make the postseason in AA? Because they're getting down to the nitty gritty. There's only about, including this series, there's about 4 total series left on the year. Still have a lot in front of them. Still can control their own destiny. But if you think this missions team makes the playoffs, it's because of what?
I think it's because they are finally able to beat some teams that they haven't beaten in many years on a consistent basis. Springfield, Midland, and Amarillo have all been so tough on them. But I think on the field, what will lead to those wins, I think it'll be the clutch offensive hitting. Here at the Wolf, they're not going to blow anybody out of the water. They're not going to put up a lot of runs. They've shown that throughout the year, but they come up with the clutch wins. We've had 2 walk-offs this week, able to eke that out. And I think at the end of the day, that's because of the pitching, the starters going deep enough into the game and allowing the relievers to be used in a rotation to where they're rested. They're able to come in and get the job done. So I think just coming up with enough big hits to allow the pitching to take care of business. We go to a couple of tough ballparks. Springfield is in first place. They're a really good squad. We go to their place, and then ending the year at Hodgetown, where I'm going to test it. I'll tell you right now, in September, I'm going to try to hit BP and see if I could hit it out, because I think I could. Anybody could hit a home run there. The ball flies, so it won't be easy, but I think the Missions have a legitimate shot, which is more than we could say in the first half. And it's been really exciting to keep track of this team, and I think the best is yet to come.
A couple of weeks left in the season. Brian, we'll have you on again before the end of the year. We appreciate the time as always, and have a good call tonight.
Appreciate you guys, and hopefully join talking about Game 1 of the Texas League South Division Series.
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's speak that into existence. Brian Yanselson, play-by-play voice of the San Antonio Missions. He joins us on the SDCCU fan hotline. Texas League. That's an interesting map right there that they have to get to. So the Missions are going to play up in, that's the furthest location from them, Springfield, Missouri. So they got the Springfield Cardinals. They're going to play Midland one more time at home, the Rockhounds, and then they go to Amarillo to take on the Sod Poodles, if you will. How about that? He's like, I'm going to take some BP. I'm going to see if I can hit one out because I think I can hit one out. Hilarious. That's how much of a bandbox Amarillo is. We should ask Sam Levitt about that. Sam, can you hit one out in Amarillo? It sounds like it's pretty easy to do. All right. We got a couple of minutes. Let's get to the players. Did you see the nickname guide?
I saw the Padres nickname guide, yes.
Okay, let's go through this. Camposano's Campy. That's very...
As you do.
Is anybody really calling Ty France Big Eiffel? Have you ever heard that?
No.
I have not heard of anybody call Ty. I'm sure, maybe they do in the clubhouse, but
chat.
Big Eiffel. So are these guys going to have this on the back of their jersey?
I don't know.
Sung Moon Song, Mooney.
Sure.
Jace Bowen, J-Bo.
Okay.
Austin Hayes, Hazy. Did we have to call everybody like something E? Isn't that like everybody's nickname?
That's a hockey thing.
Hey, I know, but like it seems to be the case for baseball now too. Hazy.
Have you started watching Shoresy? Speaking of which,
no, I have. I haven't watched Letterkenny in a bit.
Gotta watch Shoresy.
I gotta make it to Letterkenny first.
One at a
time. I don't care. One at a time. One at a time.
No, I know.
I'm watching The Sopranos right now too. I already don't have any time to watch anything.
I know. I'm just saying, Shoresy doesn't have Shoresy doesn't have like a running line with Letterkenny. They are two separate shows.
Except for that he's in Letterkenny?
Yes, it's a spinoff.
I know it's a spinoff. Luis Rengifo, FIFO?
Good idea. Good job. His name wasn't Luis Rengifo.
Foul.
He draws the foul.
El Nino for Fernando. Yeah, we see that. Holy Sheets for Gavin Sheets.
That's okay.
That's now permanently a thing, I guess. Is he gonna have Holy Sheets on the back of his jersey?
That's a call. That's not a nickname.
Yeah, nobody's. You can't have a nickname that's longer than your actual name. And I'm sure, like I don't want to count the letters. I guess it's one letter short. I mean, is it much of a nickname? Holy Sheets.
No.
Hey, Holy Sheets. Saying. Come over here. Yeah, I agree. Jackson Merrill Action Jackson.
That's fair.
Manny El Ministro. Yeah, we got that one. Crone Zone. Somebody calling Crone Zone. They should just call him Jacob, since that's what everybody calls him.
Again, that's a saying. That's not
a nickname. I agree. Xander X-Man, sure. And Freddie Fermin, the Ferminator. I actually have
that's a nickname.
It's a nickname. X-Man, that's Ferminator. Crone Zone and Holy Sheets are not. Those are just like calls that have happened in the broadcast. I mean, what's going on is there anything else happening with Players Weekend? This is like the first I've heard of this. I didn't realize it was Players Weekend. I guess, are they going to do some stuff for the charities and stuff? Do they have custom jerseys for this again?
I don't know. Again, because Major League Baseball doesn't promote anything. It does.
I know they're going to have like the shoes and stuff. They're probably going to have cool bats, right? Like they do like the cool bats?
It's not even on the website.
Yeah, they have 2026 MLB Players Weekend, but you have to like watch a 30-second video.
Where do you see that?
I literally Google searched it. MLB Players Weekend is all about celebrating players and what makes them one of one. Custom gear, personal stories, and pure self-expression will come to life on the field. Celebrate your favorite MLB players and catch the action August 21st to 23rd.
I am on their website right now. I clicked on MLB.com.
MLB.com/events/players.
No, I'm not clicking / anything.
You were saying it's got to be on their main page.
Yes.
Why aren't you putting it on the main page?
Yes. I was seeing Sale versus Mizorowski tonight. Kate Anderson, ESPN sign up, bunch of other things, Little League Classic, a story about Shea Langoliers, who's on the IL right now, a promo for Chaperone Night for the Springfield Cardinals.
Okay.
A father-son moment for Sawyer Strohsnyder.
Sawyer Strasnyder. That's a TCU Horned Frog.
Okay. Latest quiz from Sporkle. Kid broadcaster steals show with epic home run.
Okay.
The Dugout Kid show.
I mean, Matt Snyder had article today about how Victus and artist Bruce Tatum are making more than 400 custom bats that these MLB players are using this weekend. One of them is Gavin Sheets using a bat with his dog on it. It's a camo bat with his dog on there.
Like, it's not even in the latest news.
Some of these bats are pretty cool.
I wish I could see them. I really do. I really wish I could see them.
It sounds like user error over there. I found this stuff pretty easily.
MLB.com. There it is, folks. There is MLB.com's front page. There it is.
My front page had a Players Weekend thing on there.
Allow me to refresh.
I refreshed and then it disappeared, but I had it on there. Oh, here's another refresh. Yeah, they had it on there. They had like the Players Week. Yeah, right here. It says Players Weekend. Everything you need to know about 2026 MLB Players Weekend. It's on their main page.
Where?
Scroll. Players Weekend. It's right underneath latest news. There's like 4 things on there. You're on their main page.
Okay, so it says
side Players
thing.
Weekend. Everything you need to know about 2026 Players Weekend. Right there. Foul on Frank.
It's
user error.
He draws the foul.
User error, Frank. When we come back, we're going to talk high school football. Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's number one sports station, 97 through the Fan. All right. We're going to do something fun in this segment. To give away. We got tickets to give away, right? For Luke Combs? Okay. Got to pay attention to something in this segment. Have to pay attention, okay, to something in this high school football segment.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. Nobody pays attention to anything.
Especially me.
All right. Have to pay attention to what I think is the game of the week this week in high school football. When we go to break, if you're the first one to call in and tell me what the game of the week is in high school football in town, you will win tickets to Luke Combs coming up next year. Now, that being said, you cannot call in until we go to break. Time to pay attention to our first high school football preview for week 0 of the high school football season. Fire up the music, Frank. Let's start talking some high school football. There's no high school football theme song, so we're going to go with this. Before we start, there was a lot of transfers that happened throughout San Diego high school football. Some important transfers to know. The quarterback from Lincoln, Jordan Roa, is now the quarterback at San Marcos. He was the number 7 team in the county, a very experienced quarterback who had almost 1,000 yards last year, 967 passing yards, 11 touchdowns, just 2 interceptions. Jackson Munford went from Mater Dei Catholic to Westview, where it's nice and cold in the air-conditioned Westview High School today, as we determined that earlier today. 1,173 yards, 13 touchdowns, only 7 games, big addition for Westview. We'll see if he debuts tonight or not. I don't know about the. I mean, sometimes the transfer eligibility rules are crazy. I don't really care about transfers in general, but in terms of like the eligibility, sometimes they have to sit out, sometimes they don't. There's nuances to that. You know, whatever. Cameron Pereira transfers in from Las Vegas to San Pasquale. He's a 3-star prospect. 2,800 passing yards last year, 29 touchdowns, left-handed quarterback with legitimate recruiting pedigree. Jeremiah Loper, Mount Miguel to Valhalla. There was a lot of transfers that went to Valhalla this offseason. He had 2,423 passing yards and 26 touchdowns last season. Koa Smith Mayal, who came from Oceanside, is now the quarterback for Cathedral Catholic. He has moved multiple times now, but he has found a home at Cathedral for his senior season. Aiden Farrell, La Jolla to Rancho Bernardo. He joins Eric Weddle's crew and the Rancho Bernardo Broncos. Courtney Miller-Thompson, I think, is a big upgrade to Granite Hills. He comes from Lincoln. He had 60 receptions last year for 921 yards and 10 touchdowns. Huge addition to Granite Hills' offensive capabilities with Zach Benitez trying to track down history for passing yards in a career. So those are some of the big transfer names. Obviously, there's a lot more if you want more information. John Maffey had an article on it in the Union Tribune. But top game of the week. Game of the week. Granite Hills at Oceanside might be the best game of the night. Number 2, Granite Hills Eagles at the number 8, Oceanside Pirates. 7:15 kick in Oceanside. John Maffey's got Granite Hills win 35-31. I think Granite Hills wins by a wider margin. I really like him in this game, but Zach Benitez is the biggest reason. And Frank, you have his stats in front of you. He has had a tremendous high school career now going into his senior season.
Yeah, going into his senior year, 8,710 career passing yards, 667 career completions, 92 touchdown passes, already number 5 in section history in passing yards. He is going to need a monster season to chase Braxton Burmeister's sector record. He passed for 4,009 yards and 42 touchdowns last season. He's already committed to San Jose State, so he's going to be a Spartan next year. He led Granite Hills to a 10-4 record in the CIF section championship last year. So Zach Benitez is going to be a very, very big reason for Granite Hills' success this season.
And you know what? They got another weapon in Courtney Miller-Thompson, and we'd mentioned him earlier. I mean, he gives Benitez yet another proven weapon for that Granite Hills offense under head coach Kellen Cobbs. They start their campaign tonight against Oceanside, who has Anthony Barcanero, junior quarterback, threw for over 2,000 yards last year and 21 touchdowns. Nicky Latuli had 1,154 rushing yards. And, of course, they got some monsters up front. Lincoln Mingeo is one of the best linemen in the county. He's committed to Michigan. And anytime you got a guy that size, he's a problem to deal with. So Oceanside might be able to give Granite a little bit of a run. I got Granite Hills tonight. I think they're too talented at quarterback. I think they're too talented offensively. They got a lot of guys that have played with each other for a long time now. I'll take Granite Hills over Oceanside. Which is that? What it says you?
I will take Granite Hills as well over Oceanside.
They got some experience with it. Oceanside trying to get back to their winning ways from almost a decade ago now. Another big game. Now, this game starts in a couple of hours. Helix is going to Santa Fe Christian. That's an interesting matchup to start week one. The Highlanders, ranked in the top 10 of the preseason poll, according to the San Diego Union-Tribune. They're taking on a Santa Fe Christian team that had a great year last year. Drew Brees is one of the coaches over there at Santa Fe Christian. They got a great quarterback in Dax Labrum. This game starts at 4 o'clock up in Solana Beach. I mean, it's a fascinating game, but there's always been a saying called Helix is Helix. Like, I have a feeling that Helix is going to be the victor in this one. I think they're getting back to what they were from a couple of years ago. DeMaja Jones does a great job over at Helix as their head coach. They got an interesting schedule to start the season, but, they're coming off of a 5-7 season, allowing 40-plus points 5 times. I think they're going to bounce back and have a better year this year, and I think it starts this afternoon against Santa Fe Christian.
Yeah, Santa Fe Christian, they went 13-1 last year. They won the Division IV championship. Dax Labrum with a 3,106-yard passing season with 36 touchdowns. Chase Woodley, receiver, defensive back, described as the real deal. So this is not going to be a walkover for Helix against Santa Fe Christian. So it's going to be a very good game here coming up in 2.5 hours.
How cool is it to beat Dax Labrum and a quarterback that has thrown for 3,100 yards and 36 touchdowns, and one of your coaches just got inducted in the Hall of Fame for being a quarterback?
That's got to be pretty wild.
That's got to be a pretty cool deal. I think Santa Fe Christian might keep it close early. I feel like Helix has just a little bit too much for Santa Fe Christian to handle. Interesting matchup. And you got two NFL players' sons going at it in Rancho Bernardo. St. Augustine, RB. This game will be at 7:15 at Rancho Bernardo High School. Rancho Bernardo comes in the top 10. Probably your best game if you want to see some individual players. Troy Palomalo's son, Piosus Palomalo, plays for St. Augustine. The kid is all over the place. He plays both ways. He plays offense. He plays defense. 1,530 rushing yards last year, 108 tackles, 6 picks, impact player all over the field. And he's going against Rancho Bernardo's Gage Weddle, which is the son of Eric Weddle, the head coach of Rancho Bernardo. He had 2,224 passing yards, 19 passing touchdowns, 679 rushing yards, and 10 rushing touchdowns. But Frank, he also plays both ways.
Yes, he does. He also had 101 tackles last year, 2 sacks, 2 picks, and a career total of 4,653 total offensive yards. Max Preps has him as on a junior All-American team. So Gage Weddle is also looking very much like the real deal as well.
I got Rancho Bernardo in this one. I think Palomalu, is going to be a major X factor in the game for St. Augustine. I think Rancho Bernardo now they had a very young team last year. A lot of them coming back. They picked up a couple of guys, in the offseason via transfer. This is a Rancho Bernardo team that's going to be an open contender sooner rather than later. They might be a little bit early for that this year, but I could see them being an open contender maybe next year. They have a big game against St. Augustine. Modern Day Catholic at Del Norte. A lot of transfers involved in this one. Modern Day Catholic's Kasim Williams transferred from Montgomery after rushing for 1,156 yards and 15 touchdowns. That's a big boost for a Modern Day team that went 7-4 last season, but its defense needs to be rebuilt a little bit. They're going against a Del Norte team that's led by their quarterback in Caden Williams.
Yes, Caden Williams. Sorry.
Obviously, a very deep
yeah.
and talented team, and they also have Maddox Romans with Del Norte as well. I think I like Modern Day Catholic in this one to win close.
I got a feeling. I think Del Norte is going to take it.
He's going with Nick Barnett's crew, another former NFL player turned coach in the county. Valley Center and Bishops. This game will be at La Jolla High School at 7:00. It's a rematch of last year. Bishops beat Valley Center last year 41-28 in the season's opener. Valley Center finished the season with winning their last 6 games and capturing a 6AA state championship. And they got a lot of guys back on their defense. Mitchell Stelly, Connor Vose, Brandon Revelis, Joaquin Stelly, Cooper Chanley, and Gage Wright. That's a big portion of why Valley Center is going to be a lot better this year. Bishops might have beat them last year, but they seem a little bit different now. But Bishops has always been good, and they're coming off of a good season from last year.
I'll take Valley Center. I think Valley Center is going to, with all that continuity coming back, I think Valley Center is going to take it this year.
Bishops dominated last year. I think the game's going to be closer. I'm going to take Bishops. They got a lot of returning pieces, too, from an 8-4 season. Last game, we're going to talk about San Diego High and Steel Canyon. It'll be the debut of the brand-new stadium for Coach Longerbone's team out there in East County. San Diego's got Jaden Harris, who threw for 2,167 passing yards and 17 touchdowns. They got Jaden Johnson, who had 786 rushing yards. Oh, and they got Stephen Cooper's son, Kai Cooper, who is defensive leader at linebacker. San Diego's coming off a 7-6 year from a year ago, but they're ready to take the next step. But they're going against a pretty good Steel Canyon team that has a great quarterback in Gavin Kaha.
Yeah, Gavin Kaha, 2,400 yards last year, 25 touchdowns, led Steel Canyon to a 9-4 record last season. The Cougars returned 9 defensive starters. That is a major reason to like Steel Canyon in this game.
A lot of fun games to look for. Carson at Lincoln later on this weekend. Las Vegas Arborview is taking on Carlsbad. That's a good game. El Camino at Mission Hills will be a good one. And, of course, we talked about Westview and Mount Carmel earlier today. We'll see what kind of impact Jackson Munford has in his first game with Westview after transferring from Modern Day Catholic. We'll talk about the recap of this on Monday. But first caller to call in and tell me what the game of the week is that we mentioned earlier in this high school football segment will win tickets to Luke Combs, which will be on June 26th at Petco Park. Ticket info at lukecombs.com. We'll give you a preview of Padres and Twins when we return. Final segment of the week here on the Braden Surprenant Show, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. Congratulations to Jake in Oceanside for correctly telling us what the game of the week is, which is Granite Hills at Oceanside. Should be a good one up there in the North County. Got a lot of great games on hand this weekend that we didn't even get to talk about. We had limited time, if you will, but we'll recap all the games on Monday as we'll take a look at what did well in week 0.
We would have also accepted Olympian versus University City. That would have also been an acceptable.
I don't remember that being part of the
Don't worry about it.
Conversation there.
Don't worry about it.
Are you going to go to the game?
I will not be going to the game. It's my mom's birthday tonight, dude.
So? Take her to a football game. That'd be good.
I don't know if she would hate you or hate me more.
What do I have to do with this?
Because you would have been the one that suggested it.
What does that mean? You don't have to. You would still have to listen about it. Fallon Frank. Go Aztecs wants to know if she's wearing yellow pants for her birthday.
No.
The yellow pants gimmick is funny. I appreciate that for anybody that doesn't know.
And it's unfortunately always right.
I mean, like the Packers wear yellow pants a lot. They do win sometimes.
No, yeah, they do win every now and again, but not in the most important games. Here recently, especially.
People were asking who we play tonight. We are off. We are idle in week 0. I will be going to the Orange Lutheran Miami Central game at Orange Coast College. So that's where I'll be headed after this. Cruise up to watch that game, but I'm excited to see the other games out there. Other games throughout the county, it's because somebody has like the Mira Mesa play. I don't have the list in front of me. I'm sure I could like look through it real quick. But it's exciting to have high school football back in San Diego. Torrey Pines won big yesterday in Hawaii. LCAP plays in Hawaii. I think there's a couple other teams too. Again, the first game of the day. Well, actually, Helix at Santa Fe Christian will be at 4:00, which is a good matchup for you. University City at Olympian will be at 6:30. We have some good ones. La Costa Canyon is going out to Central today, which is that. I mean, that is a haul.
Also, if you want to
Costa Canyon.
Also, if you want to see Philip Rivers' kid play,
true.
That will be tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. on ESPN2. That will be. We
have a lot of intersection games. San Marcos is on the road to take on Elisa Niguel. Carson comes to town to take on Lincoln. That's another interesting one. We talked about San Diego High and Steel Canyon. Arborview at Carlsbad. Point Loma's going to Lusinger, and they were good. They were super good last year. They went deep into the Southern Section playoffs, so that'll be a good tester for Point Loma. Scripps Ranch High School, a little bit of a rivalry, if you will, with Poway. Not as much as it is with Mira Mesa, but right there, close proximity. Scripps Ranch will be at Poway tonight. We talked about Granite Hills and Oceanside. Saints is at Rancho Mirado. Westview at Mount Carmel. Mira Mesa is at Castle. The Castle Knights. I have no idea who that is.
Castle Park?
No, they're in Hawaii. So Mira Mesa's in Hawaii tonight, taking on the Castle Knights, who are already 0-2. Because remember, Hawaii starts theirs super early. El Cap will be in action against Pearl City, the Chargers. So the Vaqueros will play the Chargers. That will be a 9:00 start time.
My instincts were correct. You're already in trouble.
Why is that? My
mom texted me, foul on Braden for saying so.
Hey, you know what? There's a lot of good high school football is great. Week 0 means nothing. There's like 11 weeks and they just call it week 0. So week 10 is week 10. I don't know. I don't know why they call it week 0. It's the first week you can start games, but they don't call it week 1. They call it week 0. I can't tell you why. It's always been like that. This is week 0 technically, because I mean, eventually, like they'll call it week 1 in like the PPR, and then like by week 11, it will be like, oh, week 10, and then like what week got repeated? Just it's week 0 this week. This week used to be the week that only a couple of teams would play. Now everybody plays week 0, and they take buys later on in the season. So take that for what it's worth. Anyway, all right, let's get to the preview of Padres and Twins coming up this weekend. Very important 3-game series for both teams. Twins in a playoff spot, surprisingly. Padres enter at 67 and 58, sitting in the National League's third wild card position, with 1 game in hand over the Arizona Diamondbacks, 1 game cushion over Arizona. They're 9 games behind LA in the NL West, so the division is definitely an uphill climb. Wild card, definitely a realistic path for the Padres. And they've been playing a lot better baseball offensively and on the mound in August. 755 OPS in August, which is tied for 7th best in Major League Baseball. 3.51 ERA in August for the team. 11th in Major League Baseball. Playoff odds now sit at about 53.9%. Coming off of a series loss to the Mets and their first series loss since July 20th to the 23rd in Atlanta. So the Padres have been playing some pretty good baseball. The Phillies are 2 games in front of them. Arizona 1 game behind them. This is a series where San Diego obviously needs to avoid giving away ground, and they need to try to start gaining ground on Arizona. Minnesota is 63 and 65, but don't let the record fool you. Twins just swept Atlanta and are now tied with Texas for the final American League wildcard spot. They're also playing well offensively. They have a 735 OPS in August, but their 4.70 August ERA ranks 26th in Major League Baseball. They have a minus 41 run differential for the season, and they're only 3.5 games behind Chicago in the American League Central. So this isn't a bad team coming into Petco Park. I mean, Minnesota is right there in a playoff fight, Frank. I mean, this isn't a very important series for the Padres, but as Tony mentioned yesterday, and I'll reiterate this sounds a lot like Cleveland. It was coming in hot before the Padres played them, and the Padres took 2 out of 3. They need to do that again this weekend.
Yeah, right now, you're in a position to where Minnesota is not a great team overall. They're playing okay, but they're not a great team overall. And then you have Pittsburgh coming in next week, which we should be at the Loft on Wednesday for the homestand finale. I would not. This is a series where you have to start distancing yourself from Arizona. You have to start distancing yourself from the rest of the teams that are trying to chase you to get into the wild card. Really stamp your authority on either the final or the second position in the wild card standings and let Philadelphia deal with everyone coming behind. This is a great homestand to be able to do that, to be able to get away from the teams that you're chasing by beating up on less than about average opponents.
Fernando continued to carry this team as he did like the last couple of weeks. I mean, he is where he is hitting right now in terms of his batting average. There's not a handful of guys that have a higher batting average than Fernando. I mean, it almost puts him in the batting title race right now with his average. I mean, that just tells you like where batting averages are right now. But Jackson Merrill, they need to get Jackson Merrill back to what he was before this road trip, because on the road trip he had a 303 OPS. I mean, it was brutal for Merrill on the road trip. So hopefully coming back home will get him back to his high waves. But this is an interesting night tonight. We don't know officially the starting pitcher, although it does seem like Randy Vasquez will be the starter because Joe Musgrove needs another rehab start. But since returning from the injured list, Randy Vasquez has a 3 ERA in 27 innings and 7 appearances. His last outing wasn't great, 4 runs in 5 innings, but he's been substantially better since returning. He's been a lot more like his beginning part of the season self than the middle part of the season self.
Yeah, it hasn't been the greatest, but definitely has been serviceable over these last couple of outings. Last outing, not the greatest, gave up 3 runs after coming in, and I believe it was the 3rd inning. Pitched 5 innings there. So other than that, he has been a lot better since coming back off the IL and getting back into the rotation.
A concerning note is tomorrow, Casey Mize, 5.34 career ERA in 12 starts against Minnesota. Something to monitor going into tomorrow's game.
TV's used to, though.
Hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Enjoy some high school football tonight. Frank and I will be back on Monday. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Scraby. Coming up next, Gwynn and Chris.